rolling.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 89 of the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. We are brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything you need to build your business, website design, Google Ads, graphic design, they can help. Check them out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram or on their website, bbdigitalmarketing.com. Request a free online review of your entire online presence today. All right. My name is Milton Campus. I'm a brown belt. I'm training out of South Florida. Bo behind the camera.
Hola.
Miguel is on vacation again. Boo. Vacation. Boo. Family time.
I'm here. You just don't see me.
Shout out to our booking manager, Britt. Thank you for all the awesome guests. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like, comment, share. We didn't throw share in last time. Share. Please share. You like one of our episodes, share it with a friend. And then click that subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening. We'd really appreciate the support, guys. Thank you.
And God bless you.
Joining us shortly is a brand new black belt, and let's call him Instagram sensation, Yoshi Yamaguchi. Oh, man, he's really blown up in a short amount of time. Great dude, incredible personality. I think you're gonna love it. I really just want to get right to the episode. So we'll do a couple more shout outs here, and thank you to our friends over at Flow and Roll. We appreciate all your support. Hands down, the best custom gi and no-gi gear in the business. Don't believe us? Visit them on Instagram at flow_n_roll and check out all of their custom designs. They're working with academies all across the country. They got a really cool pre-order program, so it helps new, or really any academy, but especially like new academies or academies that really can't maybe lay out the money. They can do a pre-order program for your new equipment. Your students can order online. You can get what you need to stock your gis and no-gi equipment. But it's kind of like a really, really inexpensive way of getting everything you need without a lot of money out of your pocket. And you still, it's like you'll still make the money from selling the gis because you still get your cut. So it's not like anybody's taking anything away from you. He's also running something really cool, Bo. He's got like I know it's like multiple, so it's like buy 25 gis or buy 50 gis and then get 50, 25, 50 free patches. So reach out to them directly for more details. But really cool stuff. Got great t-shirts online. I mean, we originally started working with him because of the t-shirts. Incredible designs. Love them. And then, it started to roll, and he's been with us for years now. You can find our podcast here on that website as well. All right. We're doing a podcast rash guard with them as well. We've just ordered some new keychains, so go check them out. Again,
shirts.
it's at flow_n_roll on IG, or visit their website at flowandroll.com.
Buy our shirts.
Again, wait, code, I'm sorry. And did I use the code? No, see?
No.
Code JJD gets you 20% off your online order. So don't forget that. Okay? Thank you to the BJJ Box. Whoa. Thank you for your support. They're Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box. It's delivered to your door filled with premium Jiu-Jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, power drinks, and a lot more. They find the best products in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee that every box is going to be worth more than the cost. All right, so everything that's in there is going to be well above the cost. I mean, we get one a month. It's t-shirts and just cool jiu-jitsu recovery items. It's stuff that you probably wouldn't normally just get on your own. But I know one of my favorite things is that little spiky ball. I still use it to this day for the feet. So, again, probably not something I would have bought. I get it in the box, and now I'm a fan.
Your feet love you.
Code JJD10 gets you $10 off your first order.
Bro.
All right? So go check them out. Let them know the dummy sent you. And, again, it's bjjbox.com. And, let them know we sent you. Hold on, because
awkward.
TheBJJBox.com. I'm saying I'm BJJ Box. We changed our outline, so I got to make sure that everything's right. So it's TheBJJBox.com. And again, JJD10 for $10 off your first order.
$10.
All right. Shout out to Neutral Zone CBD. It's on the table as well. No matter if your aches or pains are coming from lifting weights at the gym, rolling on the mats, or just the daily grind of life, Neutral Zone has a product for you. Find your neutral zone by finding the best products for your pain wellness so you can continue your active lifestyle. Check them out at neutralzonecbd.com. It's code JJD. Will get you 25% off your online order. All right. You can check out their Instagram at MyNeutralZone. And if you're a frequent listener and you're going, wait a minute, that last week it was wipes and this. Yes, there is now NeutralZoneClean.com. By the time this comes out, we'll have launched their website with them. So last episode, you saw wipes and sprays and refills. They have 2 separate lines of products. So NeutralZoneCBD.com, obviously your CBD and wellness website. And then now we have NeutralZoneClean.com. And on the Clean site, you can use code JJD, and it gets you, I think we're doing 15% off your order. All right? So check both of them out. If you are buying anything from our sponsors, send your receipt, send a proof of purchase to us on Instagram at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies. Just DM it to us or send it to info@jujitsudummies.com. We'll put you in a pool. We've got some cool stuff coming with Flow and Roll. We're doing a rash guard. We're going to put everybody in a pool, and we're going to give you about, I think it's $250 worth of jiu-jitsu gear. We're going to give away to one of our winners.
We're going to go swimming in the pool.
What's that?
We're going to go swimming in the pool.
What does that mean?
We're going in the pool. Everybody in the pool.
Oh. Sure. Sure, Bob.
Everybody in the pool.
All right, listen, let's dive right in. Let's get Yoshi in here.
See, with the diving now.
Let's do this. All right, everybody. Welcome, Yoshi.
What's up?
How are you, brother?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You are like the new guy on Instagram. Like, just like, hey, isn't that new guy that's always out? I see everywhere. Right?
Yeah, man, I'm loving it. It's all happening so fast.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on, though, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah, did you, what came first here? Is this like the first time you've ever been on Instagram, or you opened up this page and started, doing your
this was my personal page. This is my personal page. So it's like I've had this Instagram for years through college.
Yeah.
And just my personal page with the regular amount of people, not like a crazy amount.
Yeah.
And then about 4 months ago, I started posting these reels, and it really just caught fire.
Did you take off your old stuff? Because like I told you, I'll go to, I want to go back a little bit and see somebody's Instagram. And then it looked like it just like cut off. Did you get rid of all the old stuff?
I archived a bunch of stuff.
Old girlfriends.
That was pretty stupid. That didn't need to be on the internet.
Yeah. That's why I asked you yesterday. I'm asking you now. I'm like, it seemed like you came out of nowhere, but you just got your black belt. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell everybody who you got your black belt from. Who doesn't know already? I got my black belt under Half
Gracie. I'm part of the Half Gracie San Francisco team here in the headquarters. So really proud of that.
That's an honor right there, and it's in and of itself, right? And
yes,
did he give it to himself, right? I mean,
so I was the only black belt for the day. I was getting promoted. There's a bunch of other ones, browns, purples, blues. Was the only black belt that day. And he took off his own belt and he put it on me.
I saw
and
that.
It's kind of funny because the internet was like, oh, you got instantly stripes. And it's like, I'm not wearing that.
Yeah, I got
that's going on my wall.
And, so what's the deal in a situation like that? You're not giving the belt. You don't give the belt back, right? It's not just like ceremonial. You get to keep that belt.
I mean, Half gave me the belt, and then there was like an after party, like little thing we get together in the park after, and Half just went straight to that. So then I was just like, and then I guess. So I'm just holding it as like an honorary, as like a gift, as like
okay. So you really get to keep it. So it is yours.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You should. I want to let me know if you could show up at the gym with the belt on, with the stripes.
Definitely not.
And take a roll. See, have a roll or two and see what happens.
I got a nice new crispy, clean, no stripe black belt. So
yeah, man,
rocking that right now.
So let's go back to like the Instagram stuff. So you really just started putting out the move of the day, right? You're doing move of the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about Kurt in a minute. I think he used to is it? He just started doing them again. Well, he was doing move of the week, right?
Yeah.
You're doing move of the day. Tell us kind of, I mean, obviously, I would say I've got to guess that you were kind of influenced by Kurt Osiander, but tell us a little bit about this journey here and kind of, becoming Instagram famous in a very short amount of time.
Just a little bit of back history. I started, so my brother got me into jiu-jitsu when I was like 15, about to turn 16. Like it was December, like 2007, around there. December 2006, 7, somewhere around there. And then I was training at this gym called World Team USA. It's a Muay Thai school that had jiu-jitsu there. It was mainly a Muay Thai based school though. So they just have Muay Thai all day and then one jiu-jitsu class at 6:30 at night. And so I started there for a year until I got my blue belt. And then all the guys that like all the instructors at Team USA, they would train at Half Gracie in the mornings and then come and teach at Team USA at night. So sometimes I would visit them. They'd take me along. And eventually I just found myself going to Half full time and not so much to World Team USA. And Kurt was the head instructor at Half Gracie San Francisco. So I was just like about 17, 18 going to Half Gracie full time. And he was my full head instructor until around a couple years ago. So wow. Crazy guy raised me a little bit. It was quite the experience though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Listen, that some big names out there, man. This is, I love Kurt to death. Guys out there, you know. I owe him so much to my jiu-jitsu. Like, just his. It's pretty crazy because like other people, I've noticed like other classes I've taken, they'll show you a bunch of moves and they'll be like hundreds of techniques. But Kurt was like one of those guys that you're gonna focus on this one technique for like 20, 30 minutes and like really get down that technique. So I really appreciate that, and I try to implement that kind of like lifestyle and technique into my teachings as well. Yeah. I saw that you did a video with him the other day, right? Well, you did a move of the day with him. So I think he's just started doing his move of the weeks again, right? I mean, he's had some. Well, he's actually coming on in a couple of weeks, so we'll get to talk to him as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But he was away from filming for a while, right? He had some health issues. He had some personal things he had to take care of. And, it's good to see him back out there again. And, you know,
he's moving. I see him on the mat. He's moving, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's go back though. So, people that don't know, that don't follow you, that are just getting introduced to you now, which you got to be like living under a rock to not have seen your videos now. But, you really started with judo, right? At a very young age, right? So jujitsu is not your first martial art.
Mm-hmm. So I started judo when I was 5 years old. My dad's a black belt, his brother's a black belt, and then their uncles are black belts. Like it goes back in my family for quite a bit. And I started when I was 5 to about 6, 7. Then I took a big break. My dad was in the military, so we moved around quite a bit. And we moved to a place that judo wasn't like in the direct area. So then I took a break for it, did regular sports, high school football, that kind of stuff. And then when I was 15 again, my brother brought me back into the fold and for jujitsu. And down the street, there was a City College San Francisco. They had open judo class. So it was right down the street from my academy, the World Team USA Academy I was talking about earlier. So I would literally go to jujitsu and then go straight on the bus, 2 train stops down, and then go to judo. So it was kind of like when I was 15, 16, I just kind of hit both at the same time and got back into them.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have a lot of questions about them. We got so many questions for you. I told you this is legit. You got the most questions ever for any guest. And I'm sorry to the listeners I have to whittle this stuff down. But we have a lot of questions here. And a lot of them do talk about about judo. Tell us how judo really played into your jiu-jitsu, right? I've heard you talk about, judo is one of the reasons why you've been successful in competing when you competed, and it's been a real big part of your jiu-jitsu game. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, thanks to everyone that submitted a question. Just the community engagement. I love it. I want more of it. Thank you to all of you for submitting all these questions. It's so great to hear. Now, I think judo it's like a yin and yang relationship for me. It's like I competed in both a lot. I feel like I won most of my jiu-jitsu fights because of my judo, and I won most of my judo fights because of my jiu-jitsu. It's kind of a weird thing, but they both help me in the other sports so much. In judo, if you throw them on their back, perfect throw on their back, the match ends, it's over. You scored your throw, and that's the fight. But I wouldn't really win by ippon. They call that ippon when they raise their hand. It's like a beautiful throw. I wouldn't win a lot by ippon. I would win by getting maybe a half a throw. I'd throw them on their side, so it'd be a half a point, and then I would just pin them or submit them on the ground or grind. Just find a way to get the fight to the ground. And even when I was getting pinned, just having the jiu-jitsu background to get out of pins, escapes, and not just because a lot of judo guys, they just escape and get out, but being able to stay engaged and sweep and then get into a dominant position, which jiu-jitsu is all about. You don't want to sweep them and not be on top side control in a dominant position. So all that really helped the other sport. I feel like when it came to competition wise, is in my jiu-jitsu matches, either the guys would help me out because I'm a heavyweight. I was a lot heavier back then when I was competing too. So I would grab the guy, and then if they knew I was a judo guy, they'd pull guard. And for heavyweights, most of the heavyweight fights are the guys just for 6 minutes, and then one guy goes for a takedown, and then the refs kind of decide, well, who do you think got it? Some of those matches, they can be standing the whole time because no one wants to give in. So having the judo background to throw them when I wanted to throw them. Like I'm a drop seoinage guy, so like I'm only 5'7", so when I'm fighting these super in the ultraweight division, they could be huge guys. One, like my center of gravity is super low, so my drop seoinage would be like nice for that. And it just, I don't know, just went hand in hand. It helped the other sport tremendously.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm gonna hit our first question. We're talking about takedowns. So I'll read the screen names. I don't have everybody's their name, but Cars with a K, Cars.ivv. What takedowns do you recommend for a 5'2" female against someone big like Yoshi?
Ooh, so like I was just saying, if you're small, like on the shorter side, you drop seoinages and things where you can really get underneath. Morote seoinages, which is like you fall to your knees and it's like a shoulder throw from your knees. Those are tremendous. Drop taitoshis are a little more dangerous because you can get your knee hurt a little bit. So I don't want to recommend that to like the universe, but those are also very good. But yeah, I would say like if you're really small, the cross collar grip and drop seoinages are probably going to be your best friend. If you don't want them crashing on top of you, pulling guard and starting your attacks that way might be a better option if you're really, really small.
So when you're rolling in your own academy, is everyone trying to pull guard on you? Because I know, like, I've heard you say you're a guard puller too. So is it like double guard pull? Because they're like, I don't want to get thrown.
It's funny. It's like I'll start from my knees unless they stand up, and then of course it's like, oh yay, it's like a treat for me.
Yeah.
But it's like some guys want to work on that, and they're like, all right, let's see what happens when I fight a judo guy. Because I mean, jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of wrestling based stand up grappling, but there's not a lot of like there is judo, but I feel like there's not enough of like the mixture of the two, connecting like not just a wrestling move or not just a judo move, but using a judo move to set up a wrestling move or using a wrestling move to set up a judo move. So like that fluidity, I feel like that is something that like I really try to emphasize when I like work with the guys. But a lot of the times they're just either, again, they pull guard immediately because they don't want to do it, or they want to work on that. So they're going to stand up with me. So
you were talking a lot about what you're doing online. And I hear you say, like, I teach somebody this or we work on that. Are you actually coaching you go to two different schools, right? Do you go?
Yeah. So I train in the mornings. So like I had 2 sessions today already, and I have a third one lined up for tonight. So just to run, like I train at Gracie, San Francisco. I'm just a student there. I just train there. So I did a 7 a.m. Just morning class, regular class, Tay Crivello. He's Professor Tay. He's a wizard. If you guys ever visit Gracie, San Francisco, 7 a.m., 11 a.m. class. Oh my God. Tay, the teacher there is amazing. So I don't actually coach or teach there. I'm just a student. At night times, I usually train at the Cave Academy, and I'm not the main gi instructor, but I'm like the main backup. Like if the main guy can't show up for whatever reason, he has a full-time job as well. If anything happens, then I'm usually the number one backup. And I kind of like it that way because then I get to still like work on my teachings and teach and stay in the mix, but I'm not obligated to be there like every night. So I get to like, if I want to go to San Jose and train, or if I want to go to Gracie double day at night, I can do that. So it's a nice little mixture. But I am the assistant coach for the University of San Francisco judo team. Okay. So I am a coach on the judo side, not so much for the jiu-jitsu, like a full-time thing, but that's only during the fall and spring semester because it's a university thing. So we start on August 20th, and that's just like 3 months, and then we take a break again. So it's not full-time for the coaching for the judo. It's only during the semester. But for jiu-jitsu, it's kind of just like I'm the main sub at the Cave Academy.
So with the college judo and teaching at the college, is it like kids that are taking a judo class for the first time, or is it like a team and they're competing, or is it like this is for credits for them?
So the first two. So it's not an actual credit course.
Okay.
You don't get credits for signing up. It's just a club, but we do compete. I think I was the first black belt national champion for USF, and since that time in 2015, we've had 2 more. So we're a small team, but we're pretty fierce. Our head sensei, his name is Kevin O. He runs a really tight knit like squad, and he really focuses on our conditioning and our technique, and he pushes us to be like really good judokas. So we might not have like the numbers that other universities have when it comes to like how big their club is. But I guess where we lack in numbers, we make it up for with the technique and the conditioning.
My daughter's about to go to her first semester of college down here in Florida at UCF in Orlando.
Nice.
And Ricardo Laborio runs a jiu-jitsu, kind of like what you just said. It's a club. I don't. There's no credits involved, but he runs a club. So I'm constantly telling him, like, when I come up and visit, I'm coming on Wednesday. I'm coming with my gi. I go, you might have to come with me so that I'm there with a student, and then I can go take the class. If I shave, I might be able to like get to the door, and they won't realize, is that who's that old dude? You know, I might try to sneak in, but I'm excited about that. She does not do jiu-jitsu. She doesn't give two shits. Ricardo who? Laborio what? She doesn't even care. So how is, I'm curious, you know, I love talking about jiu-jitsu. I love talking about, you know, training and competing and stuff like that. But I also like to kind of get to know like the world around you a little bit. How are the people in the gym reacting to what they see online? Is it like a thing and people are like, oh shit, that's Yoshi? You know? Like, are you walking in? You got a different swagger? Are people treating you any differently? Like, do they realize like this is, if you continue down this road, you're going to get more and more famous. This is like this is a thing. This could be a career path for you. You know, as a businessman, sure. I see that with how quickly you've gotten to where you've gotten. But has anything changed there at the gyms or either gym that you train at?
For the people like that don't know me, yeah, because like before like all the upper belts, they all already know who I am, and they're all super proud of me, and they're always like, yeah, they're super encouraging, and they're always so happy to hear about it. But what the crazy part I feel is like I like 2 days ago, we took a field trip. The Half Gracie and the Cave Academy guys went to Half Gracie San Jose. It's like a 45-minute drive south of San Francisco, if you guys don't know the area. So we took a field trip down there, and this is my first time visiting the San Jose Academy. And of course, I know the instructors and the upper belts because I mean they've come to the city before and trained at the headquarters. But a lot of the white belts and the blue belts and some of the purple belts I've never met in my life. But most of them knew me. Yeah. And it was just kind of crazy just to be like, oh hey, what's up? And it's like I've been following your moves for so long, and they helped me out so much. Or we were doing specifics that night, and a dude was like, move of the day, I just hit it. And I was just like, I'm in full guard, like, yeah. So like that part's amazing. If I go, I'm a big into like the EDM scene and like going out and like seeing shows on the weekends. And like, it's kind of funny. I'll be in line at some like venue and I'll just hear move of the day. Like, it's like, awesome. At least in San Francisco is really tiny. There's like, you know, there's only like 7 miles by 7 miles. So we have a pretty, like, you're going to see the same people quite a bit, even though it's a big city. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of funny, man. How does that make you feel? How are you feeling about this whole journey? Is this like completely out of left field here? Or are you just like, what the hell's going on? What's happening here? It's so crazy. It just blows my mind. Like, it's only been like, 4 or 5 months. I really put these moves out for the other half guys to be like, hey guys, check this out. Or like just my friends that do jiu-jitsu. And like, I never thought that thousands of people would be like, oh, we want more. Not that more. Tens. Like, you're getting into tens of thousands. Like, I want to see this. I mean, the funny thing for me is, when I follow someone, I'm seeing your face. You don't realize it. I'm seeing your face every day now, multiple times a day. If I'm jumping on Instagram, I'm probably going to see you at least once. Yeah, you get so red. I'm going to see you. Now, I won't tell you where I normally go on Instagram, what I'm doing when I normally go on Instagram. But I see you. I see you at least 3 times a day. So I see your feed. But again, it's I know, like, for me as somebody who's doing the podcast, when I see something like that, and like you seem like you're a really great guy, your personality just like jumps out of the off of the screen. I barely know you, and I'm like proud of you. I'm like, look at this guy making something happen. It's fucking nice, versus, like you hear like, that guy's kind of a dick when he trains. Like, I don't want to follow him, but he pops up in your feed. But I mean, for me, just from the outside perspective, I mean, your personality does really kind of like jump off the screen, and you got that big smile on, and I appreciate that. Yeah, man, it's just keep on doing what you're doing, man. It's going to keep on going. I might have mentioned to you, I don't know if I mentioned this to you yesterday. Are you doing TikToks as well? Are you doing it on TikTok? Yeah, I am. It hasn't blown up nearly as much as the Instagram. Also, because I feel like I'm like a little bit on the older side. So like TikTok, like I'd rather just be posting on stories and Instagram. Yeah. So like TikTok posting on I don't post every day on TikTok. So I can see why my audience isn't growing there. But I'm posting almost a jiu-jitsu something at least every day on my story on Instagram. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to like highly recommend just keep up on the videos. Keep on doing what you're doing, obviously. But don't sleep on TikTok, because I think a lot of people, what keeps on happening is, right,
everybody went from Facebook, and then the younger people were like, oh, let me get out. Oh, my grandma's on Facebook. Let me get to Instagram. And now, grandma's asking me about Instagram. Well, let me go over to TikTok. Like, and somewhere in there was what's the little ghost with the little yellow one? Snapchat. See, I didn't even know that. Yeah. I skipped right over Snapchat. I went MySpace, Facebook, and then Instagram. That's how old I am.
The mature interneters go to Reddit.
Listen, I wouldn't sleep on somebody that we had on the show, Stephen Williams. He's a black belt under John Danaher. One of the few. He blew up on TikTok. We had him on the show, and he was, we weren't on TikTok yet. And I mean, in the amount of time that we've gotten to where we are on Instagram, in like a quarter of the time, even probably faster, we've already gotten to like half of what we've got on Instagram. So like it moves quickly. But very specifically for jiu-jitsu, there are a lot of jiu-jitsu pages, but there aren't a lot of good jiu-jitsu pages. That's where I feel like you would fit in there. Like if you were more active, there's not a lot of really good. There's a lot of people trying to that just don't have the personality that you have, and I take nothing away from them. Go, take a shot if you could do it. But there are a lot of people that are not doing like what you're doing. Like Brendan McCatherine does like his 1 minute jiu-jitsu hacks. And if you know Brandon from like 10th Planet, right? I love his stuff on Instagram and TikTok, but again, there's not a lot. There's room for you, and I would just say don't sleep on that because I think
I'm a big guy. I don't know.
Like I'm thinking like I plan ahead. Like where are we going to be? And look, I was watching Gary V videos. I don't know if you know who Gary V is, right? Gary V videos forever, and he was like, "Get on TikTok," telling everybody to get on TikTok, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not doing another one. That's for the kids, and I'm not going to do dances, and all that shit." And finally, we did it, and I think that it's made a little bit of a difference for us, and we gained on. So anyway, my advice, just from an old man, is hey, I don't sleep on that. Like prepare yourself that more people are going to transition there, even though they kind of like Instagram kind of like stole
guys.
The idea.
Old guys
let's
are
do
on
reels.
there.
Yeah,
old guys are getting popular.
Yeah, again, I think it's a good place for you. Just it's because you could put out the same content.
I'm sure I can get 100 people.
Yeah. Let's jump into another question. So, some of these, like I always like, I'll get the sense that they know you just the way that like they'll throw in something weird, like ask him this and ask him what his favorite hot dog meal, whatever. Like where does he like to get his French fries from? So, okay, this one is Ude _ Senkaku. Again, I don't know if you're going to know people's handles, but heel hook in the gi, yay or nay? And then this is where I think that he might know you. And if not, how long have you been daisies? Is that something that you know? Does that make sense to you?
I think he's just meaning because I'm a gi guy. I'm a pajama gang. Where you at? I'm mainly in the gi. Like 95% of the time, you're gonna find me in the gi. Heel hooks in the gi. I'm gonna say no. And why? If not, why are you guys daisies? Because I think he's just calling us like sissies for.
Oh, is that what it is? I'm like, is it misspelled or does that actually mean something?
No, I think he's just calling us gi guys sissies for not doing. I have a feeling. I don't know who that handle doesn't sound familiar. I have a feeling he's a no gi guy.
Let me see. Let's see if we get his name. We'll call him out. Let me see. I got his link. No.
I am not a daisy, but I am beautiful. No.
His name just says arm triangle instead of like the actual name. All right. So just by the way, right, if anybody sends us a question, they have a chance. They can, if they listen to the podcast and hear their question, hear their screen name, we'll send them a coffee mug or tea. We send them their choice of a podcast coffee mug or a podcast tea. So that's what they'll get. So they got to listen and they got to hear their question and then they got to send us a DM on Instagram. All right. So our next question is, let me see. S. Andrew Rogers. What does your big competition prep look like? About how many weeks out do you begin and what do you add on top of your normal training regimen?
So my normal training regimen is actually pretty heavy. I like to do 2-a-days, like more than I should, I should take more rest days, but I'm doing like this week. It's already Thursday. I already did probably about 3 sessions, 2-a-days. I'm doing a 3-a-day today because I did morning session. I taught a private lesson, which is like a half a session during lunch. And then tonight there's a 7 p.m. session. So it's like my weeks are pretty heavy in training to begin with. So when it comes to competition time, I'm already in that mode. So it's just maybe a little picked up, but the time is about the same. I'm still in the gym the same amount of time because I'm already in the gym a lot.
Now, are you still competing right now? Because I know you've competed in the past. Are you competing now?
I am not competing right now. Okay. My last tournament was about a year before the pandemic kicked off. So it's been a while. I tore my knee. I rehabbed for a couple months, came back, tore it right again, MCL both times. So
thank you to Feito IT and AV, specializing in commercial and residential automation, security cameras, CCTV, POS, and more. Check them out at feitoitav.com or call 305-428-2515 and let them know the dummy sent you. Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit neutralzonecbd.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, at MyNeutralZone. Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram at TheBJJBox. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
Yeah, so I tore my MCL 2 times, and I rehabbed, and now I've been training again. I've been training pretty hard, so I feel like maybe I could get back into it, but I've just been having fun. Like, my main focus right now isn't competition. It's just having fun. I'm really trying to just have fun with jiu-jitsu and explore. Like, right now I'm so creative. Like, before it was just like, what works, what's effective to win. And right now I'm like, not so much focused on winning, but exploring like fun things in jiu-jitsu, like lapel tie-ups or crazy moves that I normally probably wouldn't hit in competition because the success rate's probably not like premium or like the best risk to reward ratios for me. So instead of being like competition heavy and only focus on like the top high percentage moves or high percentage positions, I'm really focusing on having fun.
Okay. So now with training 2 and 3 a days, what is your kind of outside of jiu-jitsu, what is your recovery program like? Do you have a recovery program?
Okay.
A lot of people tell me like, no, my recovery program is jiu-jitsu in the morning, but
I am naturally flexible. Like, I can do the splits. People put me in Americanas, Kimuras. Like, I'm pretty naturally flexible up until this past year. And I think because I work an office job, I work a full-time office job also, that my hips have gotten super tight. So I used to never do anything like recovery, maybe a little bit of stretching. But lately I feel like I have to do a lot of stretching. I do a lot of sauna. Sauna is tremendous. There's an infrared sauna at the Cave Academy. So I do a lot of infrared sauna.
What's an infrared sauna? Is that just a brand? What's an infrared sauna? Is that just a brand?
So infrared sauna is, like, there's the regular sauna. You've probably been to like 24-hour fitness where you can go in and it's really hot and you can only be in there for like 10 or 15 minutes because it's like physically really hot. That's like a typical sauna where they heat up the room really high. An infrared sauna is where they like heat up the room through infrared waves, and like it gets deeper into you sweat. They call it a deeper sweat. So like they haven't done a lot of research, but like they say that during the infrared, you sweat faster and you sweat deeper. So it gets out more toxins, so to speak.
Okay.
I haven't like read too many papers on it, but infrared is just, it's not a very uncomfortable sauna. So you can be there for 30 minutes to an hour. It's like, it's not like a typical regular sauna where you die being in there for 30 minutes or an hour. But infrared, you can stay in there for longer. You sweat super hard. And I feel like it's good for, I don't know what it does, but I just feel amazing after, and it helps for my recovery. I feel less sore, and man, I don't really know what it does.
Yeah.
But also, ice baths, like at my parents' house, they have like a big old tub. So I just buy like a thing of ice from Safeway, and like sometimes I'll pull all the ice out from the fridge and my dad will be like, "What's going on? There's no ice in the fridge." It's kind of funny. He's like, "Damn kids." And then he walks into the bathroom. Me and my brother are just taking ice baths, and it's like he's like walks away with an empty cup with no ice. It's so funny.
You mentioned your brother a couple of times. Are you living together? You living at home? You're saying, right? And
no, he has his own family. He lives about 30 minutes north of here in American Canyon. I'm still in San Francisco. And so I see him probably on the weekends, every other weekend. He trains too. He's a forever blue belt. So
stop.
He got me into it, but he's taking so many breaks. He just got back into it this week. So purple belts, hopefully.
I don't like those forever blue belts, because those forever blue belts are kind of like brown belts,
dude, for real,
in hiding. Right?
I'll throw Kimura on real quick.
We have a frequent guest and friend of the show, Nick Ron, who runs a nonprofit for veterans and really anybody with PTSD, and he had his blue belt for, I don't think he's even gotten his purple. He's like a forever blue belt, military guy, really good, very talented. And like, he'll tell me, he's like, I went to this event and I got gold. And I'm like, are you still fighting blue belts? Now I'm thinking that, man? I don't say it to him, but I'm thinking it. Like, really? But yeah.
Even the guy at the tournament's probably like, you look familiar, man.
Tell me your take on belt promotions and stripes. And, I think everybody has a different take on it, but you're a black belt now. Now you have a say.
So I grew up under Kurt Osiander, and Kurt Osiander was like, you're not going to pay tuition and expect a belt. You're going to earn that thing. So it's like, you'd have blue belts for 3-4 years, purple belts 3-4 years, brown belts 4 or 5 years. I was a brown belt for about 4.5 years. So it's like, I feel like now it's a little bit more like there's an attendance card and a check-in, a sign-in sheet, and you buzz your little card in. But back then it was like, you really had to earn that thing, either by trial by fire and competition and earn it that way, or just put in your dues on the mat and sparring.
Yeah.
But it wasn't going to be just because you paid tuition for a year or 2 years that you were automatically going to get a blue belt. And I do believe in that. Like back then we never did stripes. Stripes is something that is recently implemented back into Half Gracie. And I think stripes are good for like white belts to keep them motivated to think like they're actually accomplishing something and that they're progressing and getting better, even though maybe it doesn't seem like that because the whole world's smashing them with a cross face. It feels like, but so I do think to keep them motivated, that's really important. So I do like stripes. I do like stripes in that aspect. But I do believe like just because you show up for class and pay tuition, like you probably will get a belt eventually, but you shouldn't really earn it that way. It's not just about that. It's about like, can you do it or not, And
you came up in the world, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard this story more than once. You guys are like a half-hour warm-up school over there, right? How's Gracie? I don't know if it's still like that, but it used to be, right? It's just like
it's not like that anymore.
Warm-ups and you're dead by the end of that. And that's like, now you're going to learn the move of the day, right? Now you're going to learn, right? So it's not like, a half hour and with the drilling. No, it's a half hour of warm-ups, right?
Yeah, half hour of straight just warm-ups, conditioning, almost like a high intensity interval training, like a HIIT class. It would just be, all right, we're going to run the circle, inside step, outside step, bunch of push-ups. We have this thing called 10-10-10. We do like 3 sets of that where it's like, first we do 50 jumping jacks, then we do 10 push-ups, we do 10 sit-throughs, and we do 10 diving push-ups or 10 judo push-ups. And we do that like 50 jumping jacks, that like 3 sets. And then we start line drills, forward rolls, backward rolls, crawling.
Still now, you guys do that?
No, we're not doing that anymore. Okay. But back then it would be just like a half hour of that. And then, all right, now it's time to drill for 45 minutes. And then you're going to spar 6 rounds. And Kurt would be like, you could like, now people can get water. Now it's like a democracy. Back then you're like 6 rounds, no water, shut the fuck up and train. Like that was Kurt. And so like now if you want water, you can get water. But back then,
is it the gym changed? The culture's changed. Does that?
Yeah,
do those half-hour warm-ups? Again, I'm from the biz. I'm always look at things from two lenses. I'm a student, but I look at the business side of it. Did you have a lot of people that quit and say, "Fuck this, man! I can't do this. This is, I'm coming here. I got to go. I'm an attorney. I'm an accountant. I'm a this. I'm a that. I got to go to work in the morning, man. This is killing me. I came to get out the stress. You think that's why things changed, or was there a reason?
No, it was just Kurt left and Kurt ran those warm-ups.
Okay, so it was Kurt there at the,
yeah.
Okay.
Kurt ran those warm-ups or had one of his people run those one of his upper belts. So it was kind of like on his orders, what's going to happen with class. Okay. And then when he left, there was a big culture shift in the gym of how class was being taught and all that. But yeah I feel like I can't say maybe like there was before Kurt or like before my time at Half Gracie, it was different. But as soon as the day I got there, it was Kurt running the show.
Yeah.
Half would be there like occasionally to teach class or like take over the reins, but for the most part, day in and day out, I was seeing Kurt.
So when you run your classes, what are you doing? Are you doing heavy warm-ups?
I find a happy medium, maybe like a 15-minute, 10-minute. I do run longer warm-ups, and I'm having this like philosophical debate when I teach class right now, because it's like, okay, a lot of times like they're out of shape or like they're not going to do the conditioning on their own. So it's like you can say, well, they should be doing that stuff on their own. When we go to jiu-jitsu, you should only be focusing on jiu-jitsu. So why are you going to make them do jumping jacks, make them do single legs, make them do drills that are for jiu-jitsu, like those kind of drills, warm-ups. But I'm also like, I don't know, man, something about warming up the body and getting the body primed up to do those drills and doing that. There's something to that. And it's not maybe just diving into different types of drills and warm-ups for jiu-jitsu is not the best way for the body. So I'm constantly having that philosophical debate, whether to like get rid of those traditional warm-ups when I teach class and just go straight into jiu-jitsu. Currently, I still run the old school warm-ups where it's like not the half hour, but it's like we're going to do jumping jacks and forward lunges and inside skips and push-ups and like all that jazz, like calisthenics type style. Right. And before we get into like maybe jiu-jitsu drills. So like I'm still kind of weighing it out whether like, okay, well, yeah, you got really good at jumping jacks and you were in good shape, but if you focused on single legs for that time for the whole year, if you look at the whole year, like in the long term, take a step back, you would have been a monster wrestler. Like it's like, oh yeah, but yeah. So I'm always having that debate. Right now, I still believe like doing those traditional movements are really good for warming up the body and getting the body ready to do those jiu-jitsu movements. Because again, not everyone in your class is going to be like a college kid or ready to go and just no warm up, just like crack their neck twice and ready to spar. So it's like,
yeah, those days are over for me.
yeah, like I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's do it. So it's like to get like some of the older guys, like get them ready because like maybe they just showed up or they didn't come early enough to get their stretches in, make sure they don't hurt themselves during class. So
I was going to ask that was my next question is that, do you have old timers and youngsters? Is it competition class? Is it a mixture of everybody, hobbyists and somebody who might be competing next week,
Yeah. So it's a mixture of everybody. At the university, I teach all university kids. Like there's a few graduates and a few staff, like maybe like very few handful. Mainly it's undergraduate students. So they're like in between, they could be 17 to 21, 22. And those kids, man, you tell them to do a drill, they'll just do it. There's no stopping. They're just like, we're just going to do it. And I love that because I can just bark orders and they're just like, yes, what's next? And it's funny when I teach nighttime and like in Pacifica, sometimes they'll be like, I do this thing in judo where I make all them do, I make them do a handstand. A partner will grab your feet and you'll do a handstand walk. So the partner will make sure you don't fall. Like you're doing to stay in your handstand and you just walk across the mat with the handstand. And so that builds your shoulder, builds your chest. Like it's a very good judo drill that I like to implement. And when I do it with the jiu-jitsu guys, all the old guys are like, my shoulder, my like, I'm just gonna look away. So it's like, it's funny. Like, so sometimes I kind of gauge the room, especially when I teach class, like I kind of gauge like, okay, who's in the room? What am I going to do? Are they getting ready for a competition? Are they not? So it's like, not just like, I go in there with my game plan. Like sometimes I'll have a game plan, but I'll have to like, oh, there's like 2 white belts and there's their first day. And they're like, there's only 4 people in the class, or there's 20 people in the class and they're all purple belts and blue belts. So it's like, I kind of just go kind of get an idea of what I want to do, check the pulse. I'm always big about being situational.
Yeah. That's cool. That for me, I the whole, like the old guy and the going on my shoulder, that's, I'm 49, man. That's just how it goes down. I've got to I still have I've had a pulled groin muscle that I'm trying to like baby and I'm not training as much. for like months now. Everybody's like, that's the worst injury. It takes forever to heal. And I'm like, I go like once or twice a week. I heard it. I recover for the next 4 days. I'm like, all right, let's hurt it again. So I can't stay away. And, I'm learning how to like really like baby it and where I have to be. And I'm a guard puller. I like kind of lockdowns and half guard. So as long as I stay, I'm on my natural, like, right. I'd be on my right side anyway. So if I stay there, let them work. The second they get me the other way and I've got to go back and push that leg in, I'm done. So, but yeah, I mean, look, I always talk to people about, from the coaching side. I don't coach, but when I'm being coached, I do like when they kind of say, like, okay, these are white belts over here. Let's get somebody to work with them on the side. Like we may be showing a move of the day, but like these guys are not like they're way like my school does like. We're doing like back takes right now and all different like ways to get to the back. Your partner's in turtle. You from guard, pass his guard, turn him over, take his back. Right. We're gonna do that for a month. We didn't always do it like that, and I love when my coach changed to that because if I go to the school 3 times a week, it used to be like it was the move of the week. It was the series of the week. Mm-hmm. Well, if I missed that week or I didn't get to train as much, or even 3 days, and he's open 7 days a week. Man, what did I miss? And when he started to extend it like that, I feel like he, like you said, gauged the room and realized, at least for my adults, a lot of my adults can only come from work, family, injuries. They're only coming 2 or 3 times a week. And it changed. And I think we all got better because of that. Because now we really are working on those. For 1 month, we're working on that series. Next month, it's going to be, triangles. Next month, it's going to be arm bars. But he also shows you like the beginner through the advanced versions of that. Oh, so you can kind of like start from like a more advanced position if you feel like, okay, yeah, listen, I'm a brown belt. I can start here versus doing the basics. So I do like when he does gear it to, like you said, I'll use your read the room, read the room. And I think he did. And he changed it at least again for the adults. My school, at least like the older guys, we're mostly hobbyists, but like a lot of those kids that came up through his kids program, which is we have a very
They're
large.
turning into adults slowly.
We have a very large kids program, probably the largest. I don't want to say the largest in South Florida, definitely in our area where we are. It's the biggest. There's nobody that has a jiu-jitsu. Like all the other schools are like one little storefront. We're like 4 or 5 storefronts. Like it's huge. And
where do you train?
I train. It's the old Fight Sport. Everybody knows Fight Sports. So it's the old Fight Sports in Coral Springs, not Miami. But we're filming down in Miami, but this is Fight Sports up in Coral Springs. It's now called Jujitsu for Life. When all the craziness happened around Fight Sports, and if you know what's happened recently, the coach definitely stepped away, renamed the school, dropped the affiliation, and was glad to see that. And yeah, so we're Jujitsu for Life now. It's still the same school. Every once in a while, somebody walks in with a fight. Nobody's like, get that Fight Sport. Nobody. It's not like that. Like, nobody's like, burn them. It wasn't like that. It was like, let's transition to, going on its own. But again, the school is again one of the biggest kids programs. But those kids are graduating from those kids programs, man. And like, these 16-year-old boys, right, are coming through. They got a blue belt. They've been training longer than me. They've been training with him longer than I have. And it's like these kids, they're monsters, man. And funny enough, like we've had situations where a lot of the older, like there's one kid in particular, I'm not going to say his name. I believe he listens to a lot of the podcasts. I know, his family, other people in his family train. And people were like, he's a beast. Like 16, 17 years old. He's a man. He's got facial hair now. He's got freaking muscles. He's a purple belt now. And people were just not training with him. Like people were avoiding him. And now, and I was one of them. I'm like, he's a beast. He's now, like I rolled with him after I pulled my muscle, my groin muscle. And I actually told him, said, listen, dude, I'm going to roll. I'm hurt. Let's do a flow roll. And it was still a tough roll. It wasn't really a flow roll, but he respected that. And now I'm like not worried about rolling with him. If I'm hurt, I'm going to tell him. And I do tell most partners like, hey, I'm hurt. Yeah. Usually if they're like purple and above, I'm going to tell them I'm hurt. If they're purple and below, and I know it's like, okay, he's not going to give me that much trouble anyway, then I'm going to I won't even say anything. But most people know, like they've seen that I'm not coming as much and they'll ask. But, I do. It's look, I again, going back, I do like when the coach kind of understands what I'm going through. And I feel like sometimes I've been there or there's been more old timers and he makes the warm-ups a lot shorter. You know? I'm like, the warm-ups weren't this short on Monday. What's going on here? Should I always come on Tuesday when they're not as bad? Or is it, did you tone it down because I'm here? So
you dap up all the old guys like, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
I would say one thing, I stretch before I leave the house now because we do warm-ups, but I can remember way back, this is years ago, I hurt my lower back doing the warm-ups when I hadn't stretched. And we used to do like a really good stretching program. We kind of got away from that and it's just like warm-ups, drilling. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I got to start stretching at home. So I'm stretching 15, 20 minutes at home, massage gun, chirp wheel, foam roller. I've got them all so right. I've got everything. And I'll do it at home. I sometimes I get there now more, and I used to go to the gym, get there early, kids' classes being finished, and I'd find an area to go to stretch. And now now the older guys especially, they're doing the same thing. But I'm stretching at home, and then I'm getting there and stretching as long as I can before the mat, not bullshitting in the corner. Yeah. But what's your take on that? This kind of goes hand in hand with kind of your jiu-jitsu and the way you take care of yourself doesn't just start when you walk through the door. Like you need to be learning on your own. You need to be stretching on your own, right? You do recovery on your own. Talk about that a little bit. Like, how does that, when you're talking to people and giving them advice on jiu-jitsu, are you talking about those things? Do people ask you those kind of questions?
No, so much more. It's more just like the actual technique. I kind of focus on that. But, the jiu-jitsu lifestyle is more than just learning some techniques. Like, I feel like the jiu-jitsu lifestyle is like a healthy lifestyle, making sure like you're eating right, you're stretching, you're keeping your body limber and healthy. Like I do yoga, not as much as I should, but I got about 5 classes at a time and just kind of hop in whenever I can. I feel like those types of things where it's like just stretching and all that is going to help your longevity in jiu-jitsu. Because it's not about like, maybe it's like, oh yeah, you're not going to be flexible or you're not going to do the splits, but you're going to be able to train for a lot more years if you do these couple things a week. So I feel like it's mainly just looking out long. Like I want to do jiu-jitsu for as long as possible, So it's like longevity wise. And like, I'm a pretty busy guy. So it's like, I've worked full time. I'm a graduate student in a doctoral program. I'm doing the jiu-jitsu thing. It's like, sometimes I don't have enough time to do it. And I do get hurt that way because I didn't stretch enough or I didn't make it, but I'm trying to balance all these different things. And I wish I could like just pause time to be like, pause, don't start class yet. Let me get some of these. Be like,
it does not work like that. How old are you, Yoshi? I don't think we asked. I don't think you mentioned.
I'm 31.
Oh, you're 31. Man, I would have said you were in your 20s easily. Right?
Thank you.
And what, if you don't mind me asking, you said you're in a doctoral program. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm a student at USF, the University of San Francisco. I graduated with my master's in organization and leadership studies last year. So I'm doing the same program, but just the doctoral program. I haven't started yet. It starts August 20th. So I'm just getting ready for that, like getting everything lined up for that. It's pretty cool because like even my master's, like I wrote a 60-page thesis and I got to write it on judo. I learned about leadership acquisition in collegiate athletes. So I interviewed just the people that fought on the collegiate circuit, the collegiate judo circuit for USF, interviewed all of them and how that helped them with different aspects of their life. Kind of left it open-ended so that they can tell me how it affected them. And yeah, it was amazing. I got to like mix my academics with my passion, and I'm going to probably do the same thing with my doctorate, but I'm going to switch it towards jiu-jitsu this time. I'm going to focus my research on jiu-jitsu.
And ultimately, what do you want to do with that degree? Where do you see yourself?
So it's a good question.
Let me ask you this way. Was there a plan before you got Instagram famous? And was there a plan now?
So the plan was I'm going to go to graduate school because I compete in collegiate judo for another year. So I went to grad school, and then I was already working at the university. And if you work there, you get like a big college tuition discount. So right now I graduated. Right now I was trying to get into the tech world. But right now, the Bay Area job market for tech is actually not so good. So I decided to go back to school until I figure out maybe I'll stop school or continue school and then enter tech. But for now, since I'm working at the university and I get a pretty heavy discount on school, I don't want to waste time. So if I'm working there, I'm going to be going to school. Yeah. So
do you feel like is that going to take away from your training at all? Is that a worry?
Probably, but I'm going to be a fucking doctor. So
yeah. legit really carry. Well, what would you use, professor or doctor?
I don't know. I can't wait to be like on an airplane to be like, is there a doctor here? And I'm be like, well, actually,
More or
and they're gonna be like, get out of here.
Yeah. Are the youngsters calling you professor? Do they call you professor now?
It's funny, man. Like the youngsters, like on Instagram, people are starting to call me professor, and I'm like, yo, isn't that like when you get your third stripe or something? Like, yo, chill.
I don't know. I know for guys in my gym, I hear people. I don't call the guys that I've come up with or trained with. I don't call anybody professor when they've gotten that black belt. Not because I'm being disrespectful. It's still, Junior, Andres. It's still like they're just my buddies. I would feel weird, but I definitely like it's nice to see when the kids ask them. When lower belts will say, hey, professor, can you show me this? I was like, yeah, man, I can't wait for that. I can wait for the belt, but that's going to just be a really cool thing. Now, my wife is going to give me so much shit if she hears anybody call me professor. Really? I can't get him to pick up his underwear off the floor. You're calling him professor. Professor of what?
That's hilarious. It's funny, though, because, like, jiu-jitsu is, like, so, like, laid back. I feel like in judo, like, my sensei is sensei.
Yeah.
No matter what, that's sensei.
Yeah.
Mr. Sensei on a formal day, Sensei.
I have seen I think I saw Sensei dropped in some of the questions and some of the comments, right? Like, do people call you Sensei when you're training judo?
At the USF, I have them call me coach because I feel like Sensei, like again, that's that formality in judo is so heavy. Like it's like there's one Sensei and that's that guy. That's not me.
Okay.
Kevin, like for me, Kevin O, like that's Sensei. So I'm the assistant coach, so I let them call me coach.
Yeah.
Or Yoshi. I'm pretty fluid with them. Pretty open. Like I'm not like, but for me, it's like I have to be like, okay, Sensei, that's Sensei. But in jiu-jitsu, even when I see Half, it's like Uncle Half or some crazy shit. Like, what's up, bro? But like I would never call my judo sensei bro.
I think Master I call Yoshi. I mean my professor, it's always kind of funny because my professor is younger than me, right? He's a few years younger than me. And I usually find myself just calling him by his first name. The second we get off the mat, it's Felipe, but when I'm on the mat, if I'm in front of younger people or if like I really want to get his attention, like I think I catch myself saying professor, not coach so much, but I think there's just like, sometimes I forget like, oh shit, I'm the older guy. Like, I'm looking up to this guy. He's taught me jiu-jitsu since I was a blue belt. I got to a school when I was a blue belt already. So, he's given me, my stripes, my purple, my brown, and I really hope that I bought a house recently and me and my wife does a little bit of kickboxing. Like, so, nice. We were like, both like, we didn't want to move out of the area we blamed it on our daughter who had to finish one more year of school, but we were like, really, really wanted to be close to our gyms. And we are really, really like between both of our gyms. We're like, I'm literally like 3 minutes away. And
wow,
she's
awesome. Like
maybe a 10-minute drive with lights. I'm 3 minutes if I hit the light, so I'm really close. And I used to live behind the school. I bought a house, but I was in a townhouse. When I was behind the school, it was less than 1 minute drive from where I was to the school. Literally, I'd get in the car. I've timed it. It was less than a minute to get there.
Less than a minute. No excuse to miss
in traffic. Yeah, right. She'd be like, "Why don't you? I don't understand why you don't walk. You at least get a little exercise in the car." I'm like, I don't know. It's just not there. But man,
you didn't want to get beat up on the way back.
Yeah,
home
right. You're
like,
walking in the dark. I'm scared.
You're all wiped. You're all wiped out from jiu-jitsu, and you come back. It's your most vulnerable moment.
So let's get into these two. We kind of touched on maybe one or two of these things, but let's talk about cool.half.luke. That's his handle. Is it better for a newcomer to work on their bottom game or top game? Oh, we lost you there. We lost the video for a minute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I refocused this.
Okay, no worries. Is it better for a newcomer to work on their bottom game or top game? What's your philosophy and why?
So a newcomer, like brand new jiu-jitsu, should work from the bottom up. I used to like show them something cool when I was first like kind of like a little immature in jiu-jitsu. I would show them something cool like, oh, here's an armbar or Americana, like check this out, like to get them like fascinated about it, like, oh, I have the power. But like nowadays, like I would realize like I'd watch them spar and they would only go for that one submission that they knew, and they would leave themselves vulnerable to like every single attack possible because they were just gunning for that one thing. So like now I'm like, if you're a newbie, like really focus on escapes. Because then whenever you're in that position, even if you gun for that one escape, it's going to be way better than just trying to do an armbar from every position possible. So like really focus on your back, getting comfortable with escapes, getting from out of side controls back into half guard, and like focus maybe not so much on these big escapes. Like, oh, I busted out of side control, like side control back to half guard back to full guard to half guard to taking the back. Like little transitions I think are really important. So focus not so much on these big cool like moves, but like focus on escapes and transitions into different positions like as your basis. And then once you have a solid foundation of, okay, I know all the positions, I know how to fluidly transition in between all the positions, and I'm comfortable with that, then we can like do like crazier sweeps and submissions. And then I feel more comfortable doing that. Like before it was like, I want them their first day of jiu-jitsu, them to walk away like, oh, I know I can fuck someone up almost. Like that was cool. I want to come back. But nowadays I'm like, okay, yeah, but during sparring, they're going to fuck themselves over because they're only going to go for that Americana, like in from positions that they shouldn't do it. So it's like, kind of weighing that out still.
So when I get it, like, I'll grab, like if there's especially if they're a bigger guy, if there's a white belt and I could just, okay, hey, you see the belt tied all the way up here. You're like, yeah, first
propellers.
Like, it looks like a bow tie. It's so high. I'll usually, again, especially if they're big, because I'm pushing 240. So I'm usually going to grab that person. And regardless of what the coach is doing, as soon as we go to like, we're going off and supposed to drill that move, I'll get them. I'll say, let's, first day, first week. Okay. Have you worked on this? All right. Get into my guard, and I'll just show them how to break the guard, side control, mount. And then, we switch, just keep on going back and forth. And I think sometimes I find it's not the coach's fault. He's got a big class. It's like kind of like just you get thrown into the mix. I usually like to just go over those basics with them. And then I think they're very appreciative of that because they're just like, wow, yeah, I can't do that. What's a back take from turtle? Am I the turtle? Who's the turtle? So I see that in their face. And I was lucky enough. I was like the first student, really the second student at my school when I first started, when I first started as a white belt. It was a family friend. He had a female student that was like the wife of one of his friends, but like she didn't last like more than that week. Like I think she just like, hey, I'll be your first student and come and train with you when he opened the school. And I came right after that. And I was very lucky that it was me and him, me and a black belt for like,
amazing.
Yeah, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. He was taking me to like other schools. And then we slowly but surely got, we got our first student, our second student, our third student. So I had this time where I would just work with him. So it would be like he'd show me basics and he'd show me what he'd want. And I tell this story all the time. I started watching right away. I was like, I need to find videos. I need sneaky jiu-jitsu submissions. I used to swear to God, I tell you, go on YouTube.
Extra sneaky.
Yeah. If there's a listener out there who like wants to get that one guy that's always beating up on him, just go to YouTube and type in sneaky BJJ submissions, and you're going to see wrist locks. You're going to see like baseball bat chokes from sitting. And what I found was I started to find these moves like because I was trying to I wanted to get better against him, and what I found was I would see moves, and in the beginning he didn't like that. He's like, what are you doing? Where'd you learn that? Because I didn't teach it to you. And I started to bring my iPad, and I'd be like, oh, look, I saw that here. And in the beginning, he didn't like it, but then he started to embrace it. We would do his class. And again, we'd start to get students in. And then he would be like, okay, what do you got? And I'd be like, okay, I saw this cool move. And, how do I do this? Like, I can't figure out how to put my leg there. How would I do that? And he really embraced it. And then it became a thing. And again, right from the beginning, I was like on YouTube. I was Jason Scully videos were my favorite. I started to I won my first tournament with like north-south, but I was just like laying on the guy's face. My gut was on his face, and somebody called it a north-south, and I was like, I need to know how to do that better. And I started to find Marcelo Garcia videos, right? So I liked all that, but I mean, it's just, how do you feel about you're putting out videos. How do you feel about kids that are out there, like they just go learn something and then they come do some crazy move in the gym? Do you usually try to get a handle on that? Like, hold on one second. Show me what you're trying to do. Let me help you.
I mean, yeah, that's part of the fun of it. It's like, again, like, okay, what's your purpose? Are you a hobbyist? Are you a competitor? If you're a competitor, maybe not, because then you don't want to learn something that you're going to try and that might not work. You might want to focus on just like the high percentage moves. If you're having fun, then yeah, go for it. Like if your instructor is not going to teach squid guard because he doesn't, that's not his game, then should you not learn it? No, you should go out there and learn it. And I'm like big into the community. I'm like, oh, it's not like, oh, just stay here. Like I think the Brazilian term is like kyonchi. It's like if you go visit a lot of places, like a nomad. But I feel like, I mean, I came up with so many different instructors at that little Muay Thai school. And again, like I feel you on that. Like having that one-on-one contact builds you up, especially in the beginning. Cause like I was at a small school with not that many jiu-jitsu students. Everyone did Muay Thai. And so to having like a full Gracie Baja black belt from Brazil be there for you every single day of the week and like work with you and like really fine tune you is amazing. But I also feel like getting out there and having so many different like flavors is really important. Cause like, there's so much to jiu-jitsu. There's so much to jiu-jitsu. It's like saying you like food, but only eating American food or Italian food your whole life because like that's all you knew. But it's like, dude, there's so much more out there. It's like the same principle with jiu-jitsu. There's so many different styles and aspects and looks that like I've had so many different amazing instructors and each one gave me a different piece, you know?
I kind of laugh a little bit about, you know, people who before the pandemic, they would shit all over like videos or make fun of back in the day, the, you know, Gracie University and, you know, you can get your blue belt before you've even kind of stepped on them. I believe if I'm not mistaken. Right. And those same people trying to get like do online classes and put out videos. Like it was like, cause they were forced into it and like, they really saw the light. And some people still fight that, but it's just, for us, I know for our world, I don't know if it's like this in karate or in other disciplines, but I know for our world, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just like you could really learn. I don't want to say you could really teach yourself, although we've had some guests on that talk about that. Like I study and I look at stuff and I study video and I figure out moves. And Mikey Musumeci talks about this, like, you know, I figure out a move and then I've got to, I latch onto it and I'm trained 12 hours in a day just trying to figure out that move. And it just wasn't always like that. And so many guys would fight. And now that's just, it's the way that jiu-jitsu works. It's the way that this world works. We're all on social media. We're all going to see something cool. We're all going to be like, hey, where'd you learn that move? Video last night. I was on
for sure.
Rabbit hole. I just went down this rabbit hole of sneaky BJJ videos and all, you know, I found this thing that I like. And again, I always talk about Jason Scully because I love those videos where I might have mentioned this to you on the phone. Like 53 arm bars or guard submissions from the bottom in 5 minutes and you know 89 leg locks in 12 minutes, like these crazy videos. And it was never about learning all of them. It was about just kind of going, man, I'm always there. And that's what I use them for. It's like I'm always in this position. Like right now, again, because I'm pulling guard a lot, I'll go back and watch the Jason. It's like 53 like submissions from guard, and I'm like, man, why aren't I doing that basic move? You know, grab the collar and get an arm. Like it's just the craziest stuff. But I grew up in jiu-jitsu on the videos, on learning stuff online, and I could never figure out why people didn't like it. Some people say, like my co-host Miguel, he's not, you know, who's normally with us. He says, you know, part of it was like, did teachers think that they were going to lose their students? You know, if I'm not teaching them that. If I'd rather tell them not to go to another gym or not to watch than for me not to have an answer for them if they come to ask me how to do this thing. How do you do this leg lock and not know? You know, like I agree with that. I think that it's part of that. The crayon stuff, I think it's a lot of times people like it's a business. Like I said before, right? They don't want to lose their student to another gym that's maybe giving them a little bit more of what they like. So they'd rather, no, don't go train. You know, I get I guess what was the old school kind of thinking, well, I might have to compete against that guy, so don't show him our tricks, right? Is that kind of, I mean, I competed very little, but like at white and blue and maybe once at purple. But I mean, you competed. Do you really feel like it was like that? And it's not like that for you now.
If I was competing, I don't know if I'd be doing these videos because like I'm literally right now, again, when it comes to like the videos, like I only want to show videos, like at least for right now, until I run out of these moves, like moves that I use in my jiu-jitsu. Because like they're not gimmicky. They're not like, who's going to talk shit? Like, oh, that doesn't work. And be like, nah, bro, like I use this every day. So it's like, I only want like I've only been doing it for the short period of time. So I still have like a list of moves that I use all the time that I'm still like waiting to put out. But I only want to show things that I feel like are effective and like that are not like gimmicky. I'm really big on like not just being gimmicky, but like being fun and effective.
Do you really feel like you would ever run out of moves?
I mean, because it comes to a point where it's like, okay, I do these moves and I do like these like moves, like these are like this is my game. And then, I mean, after like a couple hundred, you're probably going to be like, okay, well, I got to start studying and start finding new games. And like, I don't know, it hasn't hit yet, but there's going to be a time where it's like, I've exhausted all the moves that I use on my day to day. But hopefully by the time I get there, I've collected like 20, 30 more moves.
That's where I was.
And it keeps going.
I was going to say that. I'm like, you're also a student, right? I heard your acceptance or when you spoke on the mic, when you got your black belt, like you're like, this is day one. I'm starting now. So I mean, you're going to learn so much more stuff.
And it feels like day one. I got my first day after I got my black belt, came in the very next day to train. And who showed up? 6-time world champion Antonio Braganetto. And he was like, hey, welcome to black belt. And he squished me like a bug. and I was like, I'm cross-faced, like he's tied behind my back. And I'm like, this is day one of black belt. Yeah. I'm just like, so man, it's quite the experience though, but I love it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's, I think that's, to me, that's the awesome part of this. My wife I'll say it this way. My wife keeps on asking me, like, I've had my brown belt, but I've been hurt for a long time. So I've been training. It's sporadic. It's only a couple times a week, sometimes only once a week. Sometimes I have to skip because I'll do something though. I'll go weight training. I'll do something else. I'm not just sitting on the couch waiting for myself to get better, but she'll be like, hey, when do you, she's always asking me about when am I going to get my black belt? As I've progressed, like I know people say this, I don't care about the belt anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like when I was white, man, I can't wait to be a black belt. I said before, joking around about being called professor. I mean, that's a cool aspect of having it. And like, I think about my wife hearing somebody else call me that and my mind goes to that. But it's not about that anymore. And I think for me at a certain level, it's like my style of jiu-jitsu is my style of jiu-jitsu. I've been big. I've always been big. I've always been like more of a smash and pass. And for me now, it's like, it's about finding the little details to make the things that I know better. I'm not flexible. I don't like being stacked. Big guys don't normally like being stacked, so like, there's just certain things that I know that I'm not going to get myself into. I love the north-south and I love the lockdown. Those are my go-tos. My coach would be like,
I love lockdown.
Yeah, Mel, doing a north-south on the white belt again, huh? But I really feel like I perfect that. I really just keep on doing it and remember something small and little transitions. But I feel like my game is my game and I'm looking for just the details. It's why I like your stuff. I go, I'm like, wow, man, I forgot about that. Either you reminded me a move I didn't know about, or I'm like, I don't do that because I never finish it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, that's a good way to look at it, So I like it that way. But again, it's like the black belt will happen when it's going to happen. But I actually now understand, like when I had friends that were like white belts becoming blue belts, they were like, oh my God, I'm nervous. I'm up for my blue belt. And I would be like, don't worry about it. You don't have to know everything that you're supposed to know at blue, right? That's the first day of blue belt, right? You've just graduated from white, And now I'm just like the same way. I'm just like, man, I don't want it for years. I don't feel like I'm ready for that. I don't feel like I'm deserving of it. I feel like I don't want the expectations that go along with it yet. I'm not ready, but it doesn't matter if I'm ready. It's going to be when the coach is ready. And I'm still years away from it, but I just got my brown belt this year. So, pandemic blew out my knee, blew out my knee the day before my company went into quarantine and we started working from home. So it was like Sunday, I trained on a Sunday, blew out my knee Monday. I was sitting there with the computer on my lap, leg up.
Oh God.
And so it had like 9 months. I couldn't train anyway. I couldn't lift. I couldn't train. Just doing little silly little knee exercises and shit. But yes, I lost a lot of time. I was supposed to get my brown belt in July, the first July of the pandemic. So I would have had my brown belt then. So then wound up coming 2 years later, so pretty close to 2 years later. So anyway, so okay, so let's get to this next question, because I something that I'm kind of super interested in. I told you I like to kind of hear about people's lives around jiu-jitsu. In what aspect has jiu-jitsu influenced your personal life? What's changed for you because of jiu-jitsu?
What's changed for me because of jiu-jitsu? There's so many ways to attack that question. Like, what's changed for me? I feel like jiu-jitsu has, of course, like the basic generic cliche shit, like, oh, I can handle stress better and I'm not worried, because if someone's trying to kill you, like literally like simulate your death via strangulation, then that report that your boss wants isn't actually that bad. Like that type of shit, that's like super basic and generic. I feel like, I think like really it's just given me like a work ethic like no other, because jiu-jitsu is one of those things that has severe physical consequences if you don't practice your shit. Like you can be as theoretical as you want. If you don't actually go out there and drill and put it into practice, then you're going to get fucked up. And so it's one of those things that's like, okay, if you're not good at it, you're going to have severe physical consequence. So I feel like just the tenacity and grit that it gives you to work, even with things that don't have physical consequences, like it just gives you like the different type of tenacity and grit to go after it. And I think that's not just jiu-jitsu. I think that's mainly competition. I feel like jiu-jitsu competition is something else completely. And that has probably given me a lot more than I would just say maybe even jiu-jitsu in general, just because like my life was so competition based when I was growing up, and it just gave me like this drive and this tenacity that like, I don't know where it came from or how it happened, but I'm just so thankful that it's there, that it exists, like this switch that I can turn.
Yeah. I like to call for jiu-jitsu, for me, I like to call it the quiet confidence, because I was a big mouth. Friends would always like to get into fights. This is before I moved to Florida. When I was in New York, we were like troublemakers. My buddies, like, sleeping with everybody else's girlfriend, like stealing girlfriends and shit. We'll just say it that way. And like we used to just always get into scuffles and fights. And I thought I knew how to fight until I started to do jiu-jitsu. And then you understand like, oh shit, if somebody grabs me, like they don't have to throw a punch. They could fuck me up just for so that quiet confidence of, number one, realizing that quickly and going, I need to keep my mouth shut. I need to like not be an asshole and just think like jiu-jitsu kind of weeds out a lot of the assholes as it is. But also just like being able to walk into a room and feel more confident about yourself. Like you're not, when you're a kid, you're worried about like, oh, there's a bully here or somebody that I don't like. And it's just like walking into a room and really none of that matters, because again, what it's like to be strangled, but that you could pretty much take care of yourself. So again, I call that the quiet confidence. I think especially for kids, that happens with kids a lot, right? Kids that change jiu-jitsu, they all of a sudden parents are like, they're doing better in school. They have more friends. It just changes, because they've gotten this confidence that they wouldn't have had, otherwise. They're getting thrown on the floor, by a girl in class, or they're throwing a tough kid. One of the original co-hosts from the show, his son got into a fight with a kid who, I guess essentially at that time they were calling him a bully. He got into a fight with a kid at school and was able to take care of himself. I think he like took the guy down. The guy was the bully. The son was like smaller, skinnier. They are now both training at my school.
Oh, wow.
And they're friends.
That's amazing.
I think like that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. Something like that where, people that were in a fight. I mean, I've had a scuffle with a training partner, and because of jiu-jitsu, like it really like it squashed it. Like we got into a little something on the mat. We were supposed to be doing catch and release, and he wasn't releasing. He wasn't releasing, and I got a little upset. And we almost got into it, and he cuts my hair once a week. He's my barber, but it's because of jiu-jitsu. That's how it happens
though, man. That's like you make your best friends sometimes through these weird situations like that. Yeah,
I see him every week. We bullshit. We're always, I'm sitting in the chair. We were talking about jiu-jitsu the whole time, and it's just like that. It's like it never happened. We talk about it a little bit. Yeah, remember that time? Remember? Yeah, I know you fucking tried to get me that triangle catch and release, Alex. What the fuck?
Community and confidence, I think two big things that you mentioned that are just amazing that jiu-jitsu gives you.
Yeah.
And I mean, at least for me personally, that's like kind of like generic as jiu-jitsu, like in a big general aspect. But growing up with Kurt, man, like his jujitsu and his lifestyle and his bigger than life like aura that he has is like, it made me to like show me to have fun and like enjoy the moment. Like, you're here to have fun. It's like, you're here to have fun. Like, that's one thing that I try to like show and like say, like, I'm really grateful and like jiu-jitsu is amazing because it's given me so much fun. Like, we think we take that for granted. Like, jiu-jitsu is so fun.
Where do you, this is we have like a little, we call it the drill down now. We have like a little segment at the end, but I really want to hear the answer to it now is, where do you see yourself in the future, 5 years, 10 years, you're going to school and then jiu-jitsu. Like, do you see a vision? Is there a plan, or is it just like, I'm just going to keep on one foot in front of the other? Or is there ultimately like a plan for all this craziness that's going on?
I'm trying to figure out a plan. I'm definitely brainstorming. I'm like always one of those guys that like, what's next? What's next on the horizon? It's like, I can't keep still. It's like, well, I even did a grad program because I just don't want to sit still. But yeah, I see myself. I want to do seminars. I want to travel more. I want to travel more with jiu-jitsu. I want to do some seminars. Maybe get some like some t-shirts made just for the community. I feel like I have a lot of like community engagement, and I do some giveaways with like to help Gracie's apparel, but maybe to have like some make some apparel for them, for the community. That's something that's like on my horizon. But for now, I just want to put up a jiu-jitsu video once a week on the internet and show people how to fuck people up.
we talked about it a lot on the show where people will say, hey man, I'm going to do a podcast. I give advice on podcasting all the time. I have people that reach out to me that I don't know, they're strangers, and we wind up talk on the phone, and I'll tell them exactly what I did and how I did things and how we became successful at this. But I've always joked about, whenever anybody asks me about a podcast, the first thing I say is don't do a podcast, because it really, if you want to do it right, it's expensive. But this is the first time I'll probably say this. I see you at some point in the future with a podcast. I mean, you got this audience that's probably already, I mean, again, with the questions that I see here, the engagement that you have, the videos that you put out, your personality, like, people want to see you more. I could tell that from the amount of questions we got. I've had famous people that haven't even gotten this many, even close to this, maybe less than like a tenth of the questions that you got. And I cut out questions. We're not asking every question. But I mean, I see that, like, you're probably one of the first people, like Rogan does it all the time. Man, you should do a podcast, right? This is the first time I'm saying, like, I see you in my mind. I saw, you were posting snippets of a podcast you were on. And when I first saw them, I was just like, I'm hearing them. I'm going by. I'm like, oh, is that did you do a podcast? Good for him. Again, I think that there's a thirst for somebody like you, not only with the moves, but I think like there's this positivity about you. And I don't know if that's in your own plan, but
maybe one day.
When I see you and I hear you, I'm like, that guy's he's gonna be talking about doing more jiu-jitsu and talking about jiu-jitsu. I was on the way down here. I'm like, BJJ Fanatics. He's watching BJJ Fanatics in the next couple of years. I don't know if that's have you ever done like a longer instructional or thought about that? What would you teach?
No, I haven't. One thing I've always been wanting to do, but I never had the opportunity, was like maybe get into commentating. Like, I love watching the sport, and I feel like I'd probably get into that, but I just don't even know where to start. But commentating might be an avenue that I'm looking into, but definitely getting a seminar program and like a long form instructional program, getting that like brainstorming in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. You got to do like a little fight. Do you listen to Rogan at all? You into Joe Rogan or right?
Yeah, I'm a big podcast fan.
Yeah, the Fight Companion stuff, doing lives, like talk, one of the pieces of advice I give when people do talk about podcasts, I say, don't do a podcast yet. Start to do some Instagram lives, and you can approach famous people. Try to get people you want. Start with your friends, start with your coaches, and then work up from there. Like, obviously, if it's specific to jiu-jitsu, do this, and more than anything, see if you like doing it. Mm-hmm. See if it's something for you, because you don't want to like invest all this money or start to do it, logo, get, doing all the things, and then you're not comfortable and you're like, yeah, I just don't like it. I like listening, but I don't like being on this side of the mic. I mean, that's a thing too. And you could do that with just your phone with zero investment. And as far as you said, how do you get those commentating gigs? Keep on doing what you're doing. And then just start tagging Fight to Win, brother.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they do that. It's mostly local guys, right? When they every city they go to, it's a local group of guys that are doing the commentating, right? I don't know. Do you watch a lot of like Fight to Win? Do you watch Flow Grappling and all that stuff?
Yeah.
You into that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean,
not as much as I should. I should be studying a little more.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the big events.
Yeah.
Like pull up for Gordon, type of thing.
I mean, yeah. If like my wife, when I put on a UFC and it's like 7, 8 o'clock and I'm putting on like the commentating and the pre-show, she's like, wow, this is going to be it's going to go from, this is 7 to 1. This is a 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. commitment. And it's kind of like that with the Fight to Wins. It's like 20 plus fights. I mean, that's crazy. My favorite, I like watching the kids. I sometimes those are the most entertaining matches. But sometimes I'll just like I'll leave it on and like pop in, like I'll maybe have it on my phone and maybe I'm like watching TV with my wife or son, have it on my phone. She I'm not hiding it or anything. And I'll like pop in when I like see, okay, I know that, or like, they're good at putting the schedule so you can see who's coming up at what time. And it's pretty good. They stick pretty close to that schedule. So like, I'll put it on then.
Yeah.
It's a huge commitment. And like, I'm also listening to podcasts. A guest has been on a podcast. I want to listen to something. I'm watching their videos. We're doing a little bit of background work. So then on top, like I'm a huge UFC fan. That's where this all started for me. And then, like now, because we've been talking more about talking about MMA. Like we want to have a little bit more MMA, conversations because both myself and Miguel, my co-host, we're huge, fanatical. And I feel like I've gotten away from it, from the jiu-jitsu side, but now I'm like buying I went to DC last week. I watched the Nunes card on, I put it on my computer. I bought it in the hotel and I put it on my computer, and my wife and my daughter were like both reading and like laying in bed reading, and I just watched till 1 o'clock in the morning, but I would normally have missed that before. Now I'm like, no, I really want, it's where my love of all this began. And I want to be able to talk about it more intelligently and know the fights. And,
for sure.
There's a UFC every fucking weekend.
Yeah. I got to keep your pulse on it.
Yeah. You got to keep your finger on the pulse. And I even want to, like, how do you feel about One Championship? Do you watch like any of that? Because now they're doing a lot of the jiu-jitsu matches.
Love One Championship.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. I love I think that One is like being really true to martial arts in the way that they're doing these mixed shows. Like it's not just Muay Thai, it's not just kickboxing, it's not just MMA. It's like they'll have a jiu-jitsu match, and then they'll have a no-gi match, and then they'll have like kickboxing, and then then an MMA match. It's like all these. So you're getting like the other groups, like the other fans, like a Muay Thai fan is going to get a introduction into jiu-jitsu, an introduction into MMA.
Yeah.
And maybe like over time they can start becoming like bigger audiences. So I love the formula they're doing. I think it's like, it's pretty unprecedented. Like who would have thought? It's so simple. Like you think about like, yeah, okay. But it's like back then there was like, I think like in the smokers in the Bay Area, these have a thing called evolution, where it's like, okay, first round's jiu-jitsu, then second round's boxing or Muay Thai, and then third round's full MMA rules. And they would do these things where it was like you same one fight, like two fighters, and they would do these evolution things. And that was like the only time I'd ever see like this mix, but to actually see like, okay, this is just one fight, like a super fight, and then they're just going to have these on a one card. I think that's like really cool.
The way that you just laid out that match, in Mighty Mouse, who Mighty Mouse is, right? Used to be in the UFC, right? Demetrius Johnson, didn't he just do a fight like that where it was like round one?
Oh, did he?
I believe so. I haven't seen it. I heard somebody talking about it, that it was like round one. I forget how exactly it was, but it was like round one was jiu-jitsu, round two was Muay Thai, and then I think round three was like full MMA, something like that. I believe, but I do love that. I have sat here on this mic and said, not literally sat on the mic, I've sat here at this mic and talked about like, I love jiu-jitsu, but sometimes jiu-jitsu could be boring to watch. I love doing jiu-jitsu. Like when I was a kid, I loved playing street hockey, but I didn't like run inside to watch, an NHL game. I love training jiu-jitsu. I love talking about it, but to watch it sometimes, again, on a card with 20 fights, it's like sometimes it could be a little bit boring. Yeah. And I was saying, like, I don't think that we'll ever get those mainstream fans that the UFC had. Like, we're not going to get that. Jiu-jitsu is like watching flag football to the NFL, right? You're just doing this one discipline. As much as I love jiu-jitsu, I made that comparison. And then all of a sudden it's been out there, and I wasn't realizing that they were doing these fights, and they were having, Gordon has a one championship contract. Danielle Kelly, who are the twins from not AOJ, from
the Rotolo twins?
The Rotolo twins, right? fighting it there now. And like, this is it. This is the way that it gets bigger. This is a way that people are going to be able to make more money and get those bigger fights. And some of them might transition to MMA and some of them might not. But the fact that they're putting those, I would hope to see one day, like, Gordon would be like the main event in that card, but just a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Being the main event on an MMA card would be fucking amazing. And I didn't see that before, and I was shitting all over. We're never gonna get mainstream. No, this is it. This is the way it's gonna be. And now I'm like, no, oh wow, there it is. That's the model, and it's working. People like us. So, I've got
it's pretty crazy because people that watch jiu-jitsu, like anyone who watches a jiu-jitsu match online on YouTube, like any of the world championship matches that are up there online, they do jiu-jitsu for sure. There's maybe like a 1% chance of people that don't, where it's like the flipped on the other side, where it's like most of the people that watch MMA never train in their life.
Yeah. They just like to watch two people beat the shit out of each other. Did you said you listened to Rogan? Did you listen to the Mikey Musumeci episode?
I did.
So like he talked about, he's living in Asia, I don't know what country. He's living over there, and he's got a contract with one championship now. He's training and he's living there now. And he talked about that it's going to be, I think, on Prime. There's a contract with Amazon Prime, so that we can see it here in the U.S. More easily. And I honestly, like, other than seeing the video, I couldn't tell you. I've never like, hey, where do I watch One Championship? I don't. I usually watch One Championship in my Instagram feed. Yeah, the highlights, right? Well, now we're gonna have it on Prime, and I'm like, this is it. So cool. It's happening. The thing that I thought wasn't gonna happen is actually happening, which I think is freaking amazing. So, all right, let's go on to the next question. So this is I'm gonna turn this more into a jiu-jitsu question. So. Connor 7775. Who is your biggest inspiration in life? That was the question. I'm going to say, but in your personal life and in jiu-jitsu, who are your biggest inspirations?
Inspirations.
Going deep now.
Yeah, I mean, of course, in my personal life, I got it. Like my mentor, like professionally, academically, and even like in life, has been my judo sensei. He's always like had my back, and he's always been like a person that I've always like respected and looked up to. So like I've always admired him. Kevin O, if you're listening, shout out to that guy. And in jiu-jitsu, like I think my biggest people, like I guess Gracie has always been like my top guy. I've always looked up to him the most in his use of basics. For the new school guys, I've always looked up to the Mendez brothers. Their passing style is like, and to leg drag style is something that like I watch and study them so much, because I even watched like my favorite jiu-jitsu thing to watch. I think it's like 2015 or 2016. It's the Hickson Grace Cup highlights of the Mendez brothers in Japan, just destroying every single Japanese black belt, and maybe in a few Brazilians that like were teaching in Japan. But it was just like, it was bad. Like they were just dancing on him. And I love that playful dancing aspect. So it's like them, like, it's like two different worlds too. Cause it's like, you got like the Berimbolo Kings and like the like different new school style jiu-jitsu guys. And then Gracie was like super old school, work on the basics. And like, but even though he's like used to the basics, I feel like Roger's game is so complex. Like being able to hold mount while like on these high level guys, that's the complex part of it. It's like, okay, yeah, the moves are pretty simple, but being able to hold mount on a high level guy for that long and like stay there, like that's so complex. Like it's super hard to keep that. So it's like,
there's hope for me. There's hope for me with my basics game.
For sure.
Basics game.
For sure. I think, yeah, I mean, that Roger Buchecha fight kind of solidified that, the basics can still like prevail,
Yeah. I mean, Gordon, like when somebody like Gordon Ryan shouts you out as like the king of, like the all-time king of gi, as he shouts himself out as the all-time king of no gi, that's legit, that to get, kind of a shout. I mean, we all knew already, I think, but to get that kind of shout out from somebody who's the king of the other side of it, and
no, for sure.
It's amazing. Any thoughts on Gordon Ryan? Love him, hate him? How do you feel about
So I like him. I'd say I'm a fan. I root for Gordon. I'm a big fan, like the whole like Danaher Death Squad, all them. Danaher's amazing as a coach. Like I love his. I was a philosophy major in my undergrad in college, so like I definitely like can like relate to him since he was a philosophy student and like almost a professor. So like just how he breaks down and even his words, like the words he uses, like it's just so like his like. I guess his lexicon is so philosophically based. Like these are words that I heard academically, like in class. Like, okay, he's bringing philosophy, like literally, like this, like the whole art of philosophy and like academically into jiu-jitsu and breaking it down that way, breaking things down to their axioms or like intrinsic values and like things like that, where it's like, oh, so powerful to me.
Do you think that that's why he's such an amazing coach? Not just because of that, but that really brings a lot to the table, having that philosophical look at the world.
I think that makes him a great personality. I don't know if that necessarily maybe that helps the students and he breaks things down to their essence and their like foundational principles and like their first principles. Someone talked with me. I was talking with Mike Morrell. He's the owner of the Cave Academy. He's one of my brothers. I train with him all the time. And he was talking about like, yeah, you can learn a million moves and go move for move. Oh, if you do this, you do this. Oh, if you do this, you do this. But if you just break things down to their principles, like, if you're on your back in half guard, you can't move. If you're on your side, you can move. Like that's a principle. It's not necessarily a technique. It's a principle. And if you just start having all these basic principles down, break it down to like the axiomatic principles, then like you can really start to like, you don't have to know all these moves and you'll be able to fly through people because you have a really good set of principles. So like, I feel like Danaher kind of open people's eyes to that, okay, let's start looking at first principles instead of just move for move. He does teach moves too, but also gives you that look of, okay, let's learn principles so that we don't have to memorize a million moves. We can base our moves off of these principles.
One of my favorite Rogan podcasts was when Danaher was on. I think he was the one that he was wearing the green, like a green gi. And he broke down, if I'm not mistaken, obviously it was Gordon. He broke down the Gordon Cyborg fight. I think, I don't know if it was a heel hook. I forget how it ended, but they went through the fight and had Jamie like fast forwarding. And he's like, just go back a second, like a half a second, like going back. And he described everything that Gordon did, transitioning, the way he held the legs, the way he moved Cyborg. At that moment, I was like, this guy is a savant. Like, this guy is amazing. Like, tell me, please give me more information. It was just the most amazing breakdown of any martial art boxing fight that I had ever seen or heard ever. And I was just like, that was I knew who he was, but that's when I really started to understand who he was and why,
for sure.
These Death Squad guys were just like so amazing. It's like, if he's teaching this way and breaking everything down, if he's also teaching like that, I mean, it's like you can't fail. You just got to keep on practicing. But
for sure,
to have somebody that understands it like that teaching you is amazing.
Yeah, those guys are super lucky to have such a wizard on their squad.
Yeah, man. All right, so we're gonna get into a couple more questions. You got some time still? We're an hour and 30 in. You good?
I'm free.
All right, man. All right, cool. Something. What's up?
Are you still in the drill down?
No, we're not in the drill down yet. These are listener questions, brother. Oh. I might have taken.
Take a sip of coconut water.
Yeah. Do your thing, brother. Don't worry about it. So just so you know, like when we're filming, like Bo is cutting back and forth. So we have like 3 cameras in the studio, and then you're like piped in as one of the cameras, kind of. So when you're talking, like he's showing you. When I'm talking, he'll cut to me. Like it'll go back and forth. So we're not like we won't be sharing the screen. Cool. But anyways, okay. So. When was it that you fell in love with jiu-jitsu? Something a little bit more simple. And let me, the screen name is, I don't know how this is going to, La Puta Vaca. If you know any Spanish, that's, I don't know about that's maybe not the best thing, but okay. When was it that you first knew you fell in love with jiu-jitsu?
Man, almost immediately. I had an affinity to jiu-jitsu almost immediately, probably because I did judo as a kid. And then when I got back into jiu-jitsu, I just ran full sprint into it. Like I was doing as much as I could. It was my first job ever, was working at the Team USA, that academy I was talking about, just helping the front desk. And so like I was just working at the academy, training all the time. So like almost immediately, I came from Hawaii. I was a high school kid in Hawaii. I moved to San Francisco to move in with my grandparents, and it was like halfway through the year, the academic year. So it was like I didn't know anyone. I just moved here, so the gym was like a community. Like I met all my first friends through the gym. So it was really cool, like to just be welcomed like that. So like I kind of just like fell in love immediately with like the community, and I feel like that's super important. Like if you don't find the right community, you might love jiu-jitsu a lot, but if you don't find the right community, it's almost like a luck part of it too. Because like I was very fortunate to have the right community to keep me going and like keep me motivated and make it super fun for me. So I think yeah.
If you could only train one, you would pick jiu-jitsu over judo?
Oh, that's such a hard question. Yeah, because all of judo is in jiu-jitsu. Not all jiu-jitsu is in judo. So therefore, I would choose jiu-jitsu because that would encompass judo as well.
Yeah. Do you, in a normal jiu-jitsu class, whether you're teaching or when, you as a student, are you getting a lot of jiu-jitsu a lot of judo in your jiu-jitsu training? Are people showing a lot of throws and the things that you already know? Like, did you learn it as a student? You already knew judo, but when you went to a jiu-jitsu class, was like, oh, they're not teaching me any judo. Oh no, I know how to do that throw. I know that already. And do you do, and how do you do it? Are you teaching a lot of judo throws and aspects of your game in your regular jiu-jitsu classes?
So, mainly they don't teach that many throws in jiu-jitsu class, so I don't have to worry about that. But a lot of I do use a lot of my judo on the ground because there's a lot of judo that's groundwork, newaza, that's some grips. It's mainly grips, not necessarily like moves or anything, but grips, turnovers, and grips that I use all the time. And then I also do like some crazy shit, like if we're in, the dogfight position.
No.
So dogfight.
I probably know it, but I don't call it a dogfight.
Yeah. So like dogfight is like almost a half guard, but the person's got the underhook and come onto their knees. So they're straddled
like a
over
whizzer, kind of like you're in a whizzer.
Yeah, okay. But you're onto your side. So like your leg is like straddled in between them, and they're sitting on it, and they like come from half guard. So like in my academy, we call that the dogfight position. I like to throw uchimatas from the ground to get you from turtle position to your back.
Okay.
So like you'll be on the ground. I'll throw a wizard on you, and from the dogfight, I'll throw the wizard and hit an uchimata, and it's like that's a stand-up throw, but it's implemented on the ground. So it's like sometimes I bring things into that. But mainly the stuff is like the grips for turnovers. That's like where like I think that's a lot of help for my judo things that help in jiu-jitsu is the turnovers. When people turtle up, it's like, wow, this is like I have like it's like I can almost do anything because like that's like the position I want them in. It's like they just turtle up and don't fight back and just shell up. That's every day we train that in judo. So it's like that's what I like. When I teach, I do show a little judo, but I really emphasize that judo is not cut, copy, and paste for jiu-jitsu. Like there's a lot of throws that will leave you in bad positions if you do that in jiu-jitsu because the rule set's different. In judo, if I throw you and I like judo risk, like the risk reward ratio, like in judo is like you can be a lot more riskier because if you miss your throw, the ref will probably stand you back up and you get to attempt it again. So I can go for those big, crazy throws and not have to actually worry about like, oh, I might be in a bad position when we end out. But in jiu-jitsu, it's like I throw the guy, and if I throw like, let's say I have a big ass overhook over the guy and I hit a hip toss, it's most likely that I'm going to fall and he's going to roll through and I'm going to end up on bottom. Whereas if I did that same throw with the underhook on the belt, I would still hit that throw, but there's like a less likelihood that he's going to counter me and roll through it. So I feel like knowing those two things are like really important to like, don't just teach judo and be like any judo throw will work because that's stand up. No, it's like, look at the rule set and look what's good for that rule set. So like, I always teach judo. Like I'm a big fan of underhooks. And sorry, something outside. I hear it's like something through the window. It's cool if I close the window real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. No worries.
Sorry. There's a guy next door. He has a punching bag, and all I hear is the punching bag chain. And kind of
I heard a little something. I couldn't make it out, but I did hear something.
Yeah, there's a guy. There's always fighters in San Francisco. There's a guy in the back hitting this heavy bag. But But yeah, sorry, got lost in the sauce there. But when I teach judo, I don't want to show them just like any throw. It's very specific to what's going to land them in a mechanically good position when they finish the throw. So I'm always big emphasizing on underhook is life when it comes to throws.
How do you feel about teaching? Does, like, one of my favorite things is helping somebody. Again, I don't like to say teaching or coaching because I'm not a coach, but you know, I'm a brown belt. Somebody asks me a question or grab me after class. I love that. Or again, that new guy that comes on the mat. Do you really like love to teach? Is that like, does that make you like it? It gives me like a really good feeling inside. Like, I guess like when people like they donate to a charity or they work for charity, like that feeling that's like, it's like cleansing for the soul. I feel that way when I'm helping somebody, especially when I see them start to use what I've taught them. Do you get that feeling? Is it that?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm passionate about it in that way. You're actually coaching, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it's like no better feeling than when someone comes up to you and says, hey, I've had really like a lot of trouble in this position, but that thing you showed me has helped me out so much. Or like just hearing these success stories in competition with, oh, I did that move that you showed me, or things like that. It's like, oh man, it fills my heart with so much joy when like someone like is bettering themselves, they're happy about life, and like they're just living that jiu-jitsu lifestyle. I wouldn't say like I love like teaching more than training, because I feel like I love training more than teaching. I love training, like I just love training. So like sparring session is like, oh man, I wish I had more energy to like, because even like I did 2 sessions today already. It's like my brain is, oh, well, what if I tried this? What if I want to try this next time. So it's like, man, I wish I could like split myself and like train more so that I can like get all these things that I want to figure out and try. But I do love teaching. It is a high passion for me. I love helping other people out. I think that's one of like the main things is not so much like showing them jiu-jitsu. It's like, I just love helping people out.
Do you see yourself ever owning a gym? Is that, again, I know I've asked you a couple of times, like future plans and where do you see yourself? But is there a gym in there somewhere?
I don't know, man. The Bay Area, there's like I said, it's only 7 miles by 7 miles. It's a very small city and it's super saturated already. So it's like, I don't know if I'd want to open up my own school, at least not in the Bay Area. And I don't see myself leaving San Francisco anytime soon. I love it here. So maybe if I left San Francisco, that's a possibility, but in San Francisco, there's already plenty of gyms, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay. So
like maybe it'd have to look like go out, but like I love the gyms that I'm already at. So it'd be hard for me to leave the gyms I'm at. Like Half Gracie, amazing training, best training, super tough guys. We do like 8-minute rounds in the morning, so it's like it's super good training. Yeah. Like really good training.
Hour, 2 hours? How long?
Yeah, I was there from 7 to around 9:30. 7 around 9. I had to leave to get to work meeting. But if I'd stay there longer and train.
Respect. You're training jiu-jitsu and then going to work?
Yeah, thank God they have a shower at Half. and then on my lunch break, I went to go teach a private lesson in the Sunset. So it's like, man, this jiu-jitsu everywhere.
Yeah, my favorite day of the week, especially when I'm not hurt, is Saturday and Sunday because it's open mat. No gi on Saturday, gi on Sunday, and it's 9 on Saturday, 10 on Sunday. I love getting my jiu-jitsu done in the morning. It's like the rest of number one, the nap after a good jiu-jitsu session in the morning is wonderful. Like the best nap you could ever take.
I wish I could indulge.
But then, I like getting it out of the way. You know, I have the most energy in the morning. After a long day of work, I'll like try to get in a nap, half hour, and then get ready and go to jiu-jitsu. Like I said, I'll stretch at home and get, maybe have a little coffee or something like that. But it's not the same. I'm tired, man. I'm just like, hurting sitting at the computer all day. So I love Saturdays, man, when I can get out of the way in the morning. And there's some guys that do try to train in the morning, but it's never a lot. Like there's a couple of black belts that have the keys to the gym and they're allowed to open in the morning and have a session with some guys or go there by themselves and work out. And I'm like, I've said a million times I'm going to go, and I never go. Not during the week. It's too hectic. My mind is right in work mode. But Saturday and Sunday, I can wake up. I'm not thinking about work. Have a banana, grab a coffee, go to the gym, and it's like the best day.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I'm jealous of you guys that could do that. I've never been able to do that, man. Never been able to like do it and then go to work. It's just like
try to make it happen when I can. It's pretty hard to balance it all, especially like, man, I get out of the cave sometimes at like maybe 9-10 o'clock, and then get home. It's like 11. You shower, eat something, and then it's just like, oh, I got 7 a.m. trainings again. So it's like it's hard to balance it all, but man, it's so worth it if you actually get it done.
Are you like somebody like I run because of work? My entire day is like scheduled out. Like I'm going to be on this call at this time. I'm going to reach out to this person at this time. I got to jump in the car at 4 to head to Miami. Like my day is almost like scripted. Are you like just, or as you know, you got to wake up in the morning, jiu-jitsu, go to work. Are you like that with your personal life and work, or is it just like fly by the seat of your pants?
I'm actually pretty fluid, like as it goes. Like my work is pretty scheduled. Like my meetings and that such, like that's pretty like set and rigid. But when it comes to training, it's like, how do I feel? Am I going to go? Like, that's again why I don't know if I'd want to open an academy right now, because I love being like, it's all Half Gracie family, but it's like, okay, my friend Mike owns a gym in Pacifica. My friend Basilio owns this gym over in this neighborhood. Do I want to go train with these guys? Do I want to go train with these guys? Oh, I'll stay at Half tonight, or I'll go to the cave tonight. So having all these options and like, is just too amazing.
Did they ever, I know we talked about it before, but did anybody ever give you a problem? Like if you wanted to go to another gym, so like, did you have to ask? Old school way was at least tell the coach that you're going to go train. Like you don't want your coach to pull up Instagram later and see a picture of you training with someone else, and like he hasn't seen you for a week. It's like, did my student just leave? Did you ever have to ask? Did you ask permission or let them know? Or it's just like, nah, man, they let me go where I want to go.
Yeah, I've never asked for permission, but I've kind of always kept it within the family. Like the owner of the cave, he's a Half Gracie black belt, and we're judo black belts together. We did judo at City College together. The AB MMA spot I was telling you about, Basilio's a Half Gracie black belt, so it's all within the same family. I'm not like going to like different crazy academies. I went to San Jose's Half Gracie 2 days ago. I'm kind of staying within the Half Gracie family. But if I travel, like whenever I travel, I bring a gi with me. Like anywhere I travel, international. I did a study abroad, and like I was only allowed like a certain amount for my suitcase. I made sure my gi was there. Like when I went to Europe for study abroad. But like even now, like any vacation, anywhere I go, I always bring a gi. So like I was in Santa Barbara a lot, and I used to go to the Paragon Jiu-Jitsu Academy down there. And those guys are like completely different affiliation, or like they're not even like part of like the Gracie. They're like their own thing, like with Frangia being Alliance. But like every time I'm down in Santa Barbara, that's the place I'm going to go, because that's like the best training in that area. So it's like, and I love those guys. So it's like, I'm all about community. It's not like I'm Team Half Gracie forever. Half knows that. I know that. And I think that's all that matters. I don't really care if other people say whatever they say. But like, I know where I stand. I know that I'm going to be visiting other schools, but at the end of the day, I'm a Half Gracie guy.
Yeah. I used to just like let my coach know, you know, like we talked about it one time, and I got a message on one of our videos that said, ask permission. What are you, 7? Like what? And I'm like, it was never asked permission. For me, I do think that if like you're younger, let's say you're a white or blue belt, just kind of like respectful to tell coach, hey, listen, I'm going to go train with my buddy. It's not asking permission. It's letting him know. And that's what I always did with either one of my coaches. I've only been to 2 schools and had 2 coaches, and I would just let him know. But my first coach, every Saturday, our open mat was, we went to one school, like a friend of his, or they came to us. So like all the students went there, or they came to us. So right away, I was already, with my coach training at another school. So I enjoyed that, getting that different look of how other people train jiu-jitsu and learning one week they teach them. When they came to us, their coach would teach a move, and when we went to them, our coach would teach a move. So it was like really cool just to see some different stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I went to fight sports, I didn't travel a lot, but I would tell, if I was going to go somewhere, I would say, hey, I'm going to be here. And it was really specifically because I didn't want to just, I'm going to post a picture later. I wouldn't ever want my coach to be like, what is he doing over there? Why isn't he here? Is he, again, I'm thinking about the business side of it more than the like, oh, I've got to ask permission because I don't want him to be upset. More like out of respect for me. But I never traveled a lot. Now I'm just like, if I want to, I don't train in a lot of other places, but I occasionally go to a friend's school, and I don't say anything, and he knows I'm not going anywhere. He knows that my heart, I've been there so long. He knows where my heart is, so. All right, listen, we're going to get into our last group of questions. We call this the drill down, where we had actually it wound up being one of my, a white belt at my school. We were looking for suggestions. We used to call this like the, what do we call this? A speed round. And it was never it was never fast. So we had to come up with a new name. So we have Justin from one of the white belts at my school said, hey, you should call it the drill down. Get it? And I was like, I like it. All right, so we're going to use
it.
So I might go. Normally, it's about 7 or 8 questions. We've talked about some of these things, so we'll go through some of these. You can elaborate. We don't have to go fast, but your preference: gi or no gi?
Gi all the way. Pajama gang.
Do you ever train no gi at all, or is it just
I
not
do
for you?
train no gi occasionally. Like I said, Mike Morrell, he's the owner of the Cave. He's like one of my best friends. He's like a no gi aficionado. Like he's like super like I like from what I am to gi. I feel like he is no gi. Like that affinity, that just connection to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wizard. So it's like I always feel like, man, I'm gonna be an old man regretting that I should have took more of his no gi classes because he's a wizard and he was right there the whole time. So it's like I do it maybe like every once in a while. I want to do it once a week, even though I don't. I do it like maybe once every other week. I should do it more, but yeah, it is something I should do more. But I'm so addicted to the gi, and I still feel like I'm so bad still. Like I got a black belt. There's still so many areas in the gi that I need improvement on. That it's like, I'll get to the no gi when I get to it. I need to figure out this worm guard stuff first.
so let's talk about that a little bit. You said like even at black belt, you have that feeling sometimes like, oh man, I suck at this. I mean, I'm bad at
for sure.
You still have that feeling. That's like, is that something that I know for me, that's never gone away. I'll be like, I know the things that I'm good at, and I know that there's a whole bunch of stuff that I really, really suck at. And that's okay, right? For our listeners, right? That's okay. It's okay to feel that way.
Yeah, I'm never going to be a triangle master. And that's okay. I'm 5'7", and I'm pretty chubby. So it's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's perfectly fine. But there are things like, I think like right now, like, it's not so much like, oh, I'm bad at this, I need to get better. It's just like, I'm so curious about so many aspects of jiu-jitsu. Like people always hold a lapel, right? And it's always one hand on the lapel. But what if I grab that same lapel and grip like the other lapel and that lapel together? So it's like 2 lapels on one grip. And I'm really playing around with like double grips. Like I'm going to grab 2 different things, but I'm going to hold one grip. Like with the lapels and like lapel tie-ups and like all that stuff is like super interesting to me right now. And like different ways to tie people up. And it's like, oh, well, I'm so improficient at that because I never really dived into it. I never give it the time to be like, okay, how many ways, like right now, like even like, let's say you're in half guard on bottom, you can take their gi and wrap it around their neck and from the front. And like, no one ever really does that. And it's like an unorthodox move. And I'm like, okay, because no one's built a system around tying people up with their own gis or my own gi. And if they defend me trying to choke them with their own gi, that's fine. Their hands are busy. I'll pull out my gi and then I'll try to do that. So it's like, I haven't figured out or seen a system when it comes to all these lapel things. I think the closest I've seen is Mary Barrett Yoshida's assassin choke. And that's from like a crucifix on top position. So I'm trying to figure out like my lapel system from bottom half guard. And like, I'm so fascinated by it right now. And I'm just like, if you check my story on my Instagram, well, it's probably going to go out in the future, but like, if you saw my Instagram a week ago, wherever this comes out, then like, yeah, you'll see how I'm just playing around with these lapel games. And like, I'm just like, super interested and creative right now. So I'm just like trying to figure that out.
I feel like, see, that's your BJJ Fanatics video. There's a subject. Right there. Make sure you're taking notes as you're going through that little journey. And that might be the roadmap for your Fanatics video.
BJJ tie-ups, BJJ Shibari, whatever they're going to call it.
All right. This is a new question. I don't think we've ever asked this as part of the drill down. Music during rolling, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Do you like to blast the music when you're coaching?
Okay.
Or at least when you start to roll?
I love music and like in general. So
you
like
mentioned
always
EDM a couple of times.
For sure. We have this playlist at the Cave where it's like open playlist. Anyone can add songs to it. So it's kind of cool. Like I'll throw some EDMs. There'll be some old school hip hop. The reggae guys will throw in their reggae. Yeah. So it's like a crazy mix. But the cool thing about the Cave is that there's LED lights and Mike Morrell, so we'll run class and it's like lit up like this, like a hospital, like super white light, bright light. And it's like a regular standards class. And then when situationals, we'll do that in the light. And then when sparring starts, straight from your knees sparring, we'll turn off all the lights and throw on the LEDs. So it's kind of like, it looks like a fight to win without the smoke machine.
That's cool.
It's just purple and blues and neons and like all these different LED lights from around the academy. Cause the academy is pretty big and it's like covered with these LED lights. So then the music's blasting and it really feels like you're in like a fight to win, which is, I love that environment.
We always rolled with music. It was, first school, as soon as we started rolling, maybe he'd have a little bit of music on in the background really low when we first started to, to warm ups and stuff. But Reggae music, everything was blasted. When we rolled, everything was blasted. And my coach was a jokester, and he would he get you into a compromising position and then sing to you a little bit, like sing in your ear. And I started to do that a little bit. He did this one thing. It was always from the omoplata to once you're finishing it and you're gonna kind of like move your head towards their head. He would whisper in your ear, "I like your panties."
Oh my God!
Did you hear what I said?
That's so terrifying.
He would go, "I like your panties," and it was so. But right, it's terrifying, but it was. That was the jiu-jitsu that I came up with. We were able to joke around. Like I was able to joke with my coach. It was like super not like rigid environment. But I guess it's kind of like, that's kind of, I was there for 2 years. So that's like, I grew up there a little bit. So that's just like, it's informed the way I like my jiu-jitsu, like again, to be taught or my environment. So I love that for myself. And luckily my coach, he does the same thing, especially on open mats on the weekend. He's got he does kids programs and camps and does lots of fun stuff for them. And he's got two of those big box speakers with the LED lights around the speaker. So he put those are on either side of the gym, bumping. And he'll blast those, and it's just a lot of fun. And every once in a while we do I said before, we have a big kids program. So we do really our Saturdays and Sundays, we call them family jiu-jitsu days, because most of the adults have kids that trained first. So the kids were in there, and then they got the mom and dad got recruited. And again, big female presence as well. Sometimes we have more girls training than guys in our adults class. And we've even they have their own room now. We split them off sometimes. But that's awesome. Yeah, man, it's just we have the kids in there. So the music's blasting. Every once in a while, something will come up and be like, "Hey, got to turn that explicit lyrics. Got to turn that off." But yeah, I love it too, man. I think it's great. All right,
it's crazy because it's just one more thing about that. I grew up with Kurt Osiander, and Kurt Osiander blasts metal music all day. So my first 10 to 15 years of jiu-jitsu, my first 10, 12 years of jiu-jitsu was just metal music every day in the academy. And it was just I don't listen to metal outside the academy. So even when I hear metal now, it's oh shit, is it jiu-jitsu time? It's kind of conditioned in me where it's Kurt would always play this hardcore metal music, and it would just be fuck yeah, Kurt would just be rocking out.
How's he doing? I mean, we talked about him a little bit before. How's he doing?
He's good.
A lot better.
So he's teaching class at La Marinda BJJ over there in the East Bay, and I visit him here and there when I have a time. It's 45 minutes away, so he teaches in the morning. So if I got work, it's kind of hard. So if I got a day off where my meeting schedules are light, I can make it out there. And like I said, man, he's moving really good. He's actually on the mat teaching classes. He's moving really well.
I'm really excited to have him on. I think 2 weeks. We have him on in 2 weeks. So
I'll tell you a little story about him, man. This is one of my favorite stories about Kurt. It's it's at night class, 7 p.m. It's I think 5:30 was one class, and then 5:30 till 7, and then there was a second jiu-jitsu class at 7 p.m. But everyone came at 5:30. There'd be a few white belts at the 7 p.m. It'd be a smaller class, the second class. And so white belt, the white belts are doing their warm up for the 7 p.m. class. All the the upper belts, we're walking out, showering out because we already finished our 5:30 session. And Kurt Osiander, there's this big pole in the middle of the mat, and on one side of the mat there was the 5:30 class finishing up, and then on the other side is the 7 o'clock class starting their warm ups on the far side. And Kurt Osiander had this fucking blow dart gun, and he was with metal darts.
Oh,
and
shit.
There's a pole in the middle of the mat. If you've seen the Hal Gracie mats, they're huge. And so he's sitting in a little chair, sit back, and he's just picking up darts. And there's guys fucking sparring on the bottom. And then there's the second class, the white belts, doing circle drills, warming up in the back. And he didn't miss one, but bro.
He's shooting at that pole. He's shooting at the pole. Yeah. Is that what he's shooting at? Yeah.
Literally behind the pole is white belts. Oh shit. Oh shit. And he's fucking Kurt Osiander is blasting metal music this time. Shooting these fucking metal darts into this target 20 feet away, 30 feet away. Yeah. And I was man, that's just everyday life at Hal Gracie growing up.
That's awesome, man. I see I like that not so rigid environment. I've been lucky to be in schools where it's been fun. It hasn't been
no, for sure.
Nobody was ruling with an iron hand, let's say, so. All right. So we talked about, one of our questions was watching jiu-jitsu and MMA. So we talked about that. Who's your favorite competitor to watch?
Ooh, I think we covered this earlier as the Mendez brothers. I'd say favorite current competitor. I'm like a big gi fan. So, I mean, of course, like the no-gi side, I got to give it up to Gordon Ryan. He's like just dominating everyone. I expect him to win all the rest of the tournaments that he's set up for this year.
Yeah.
But for at least for the gi side, I have a big like fan for the Mendes brothers and their students as well. So that goes down to like Tynan Dalpra and all them. I love the Mendes brothers style. So
yeah,
their passing style is like something their leg drags, like my school is not really big into leg drags. And so like they do teach it sometimes, but like really emphasizing the Mendes brothers style of leg dragging is like so amazing. And I really like enjoy that aspect of it.
Fix your camera again. Yeah. Did you notice it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'll tell you, when you tapped on the desk, it popped and it went blurry. So it's like I get like your connection there, whatever. All right. So we got a couple more questions and we're gonna let you go. And again, appreciate you. It's almost 2 hours in. We talked a little bit about your future. Again, you were usually asking about, where does the future hold? But what is your ultimate goal in just the world of jiu-jitsu? What would you say? Like, this is my legacy. What I want people to remember me for.
2 words: have fun.
Yeah,
like that's really what it comes down to. I want to have fun. If there's one thing I can leave like my mark on the world is that, that jiu-jitsu shit looks pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like I just that's all I want to do right now is just enjoy. Like jiu-jitsu is my passion. It's my hobby. It's my favorite thing to do. So it's like, I want to show people like, yeah, this is super fun. And if I'm not having fun, like, then why do it at all? So it's like making sure like, okay, before like I said, it was so competition heavy. Like I got to be the best and I'm only going to work these things. And I'm only going to be like, again, that rigid, like I was a rigid, I put myself in a box. Like I'm only going to do these things because that's what's going to make me win. But now it's like, man, let's have fun. Let's see what this lapel thing does. Even if I get wrecked, like, at least I tried it. That didn't work. And I feel like that's so important. Like jiu-jitsu is not just about learning what to do. It's about learning what not to do. Like you're going to get messed up. You're going to put your hand in the wrong place and you're going to get punished for that. There's going to be consequences. But then through those consequences, you learn, okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And it's almost like you learn enough things not to do. And that makes you a good jiu-jitsu player. It's kind of weird like that.
Do you think, does it take, or what belt do you think that changed for you? Like when I was a white belt and a blue belt and even purple, I didn't want to lose. I was going to jiu-jitsu for so many different things, but at the same time, like, man, I don't want to lose. I when I'm rolling, once I got to like maybe like 4-stripe purple and then like brown, I don't even think I had 2 stripes and then it went to brown. So my coach had stopped doing stripes for a while, but I was pretty close to my brown is my point. And I started to not care about like getting submitted or putting myself in a bad position. Like, oh shit, if I put myself in that position, I might get submitted. Like I find myself even more and more, especially now that I'm hurt, like I want to be in those bad positions because I want to figure it out. It's like I could, especially if I'm rolling with somebody, a lower belt. Do you think there was a point that changed for you? Because again, I think most people are like, yeah, I'm going to train and it's fun, but I don't want to lose. It's more fun when you don't lose, right? It's more fun when you're doing the submitting. Did that, like, was there a point that you feel like that changed for you?
So at least competition wise, I was very fortunate to realize like you learn the most. I competed enough times when I was young to realize you don't learn from your wins. Like I don't remember the guys' faces that I beat. I can remember a few that I lost to though. And I remember what I learned from those losses. You know what I'm saying? Like half the biggest tournaments I ever won, like I couldn't tell you who was in second place, honestly. But I can tell you the times that I was in third place or something. I know who knocked me out. And I can I can remember like why I messed up. So it's like, I was very fortunate to learn that you learn more from your losses through your wins. And so like in that, I was okay with like, well, when I was a blue belt, purple belt, I was like, oh, I suck off my back. I'm so bad. I only do a smash pass because I'm so big. I'm just going to work my bottom. And then now if I'm not going to spar against a high level black belt, like in the gym, I'm probably going to pull half guard because I'm so comfortable from there now. So it's like, oh, that was my weakness, but it ended up becoming my A game now because I just like, I put myself in that situation and figured out what I like and what I don't like and what works for me and what doesn't. So it's like, yeah, it's like, it's hard to say, but at the same time, it's like, when exactly that turn happened, but I can say that when I got my brown belt, it turned away from competition. And that's when it was like a different type of ego. Cause then I learned, I still don't want to lose, but the way for me not to lose is to lose in the gym. And then I don't lose out there. But now it's like, okay, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for long enough where it's like, if I'm getting smashed, I could just go to my A game. I could go to bottom half guard and just play that. But am I really getting better at jiu-jitsu? Probably not. I'm just using the same shit I used for the past couple of years. That's my best game. So now it's like, it's a different outlook. I'm not losing to like be the best, like figure out so I don't lose in competition. I'm losing to figure out, well, what's happening because I don't know how this position works yet. So let me figure out this position. So back then I feel like I knew the positions I wanted to work on. And now I'm like exploring positions that I have never even tried before. So it's like a different approach.
That's where I'm just getting there now to that. Like, oh, let me figure this out. Let's see where this goes. I've literally said it out loud to somebody, like they grab like a lapel and like something, just maybe something I haven't seen before. I'm like, why? And I'll say it out loud. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. I'm just as curious as you as where this is. I don't even know if he knows where it's going, but and again, because I do like to joke around. I talk while, I don't know if you talk while you're rolling. I talk while I'm rolling.
All the time.
I love to
All
joke around. I'll be like, oh man, what are you doing to me? You know, like,
especially with the lower belts. It's like, if you narrate your thinking process, I feel like it helps them. I do that, especially with the heavyweights. I want the heavyweights to know exactly what I'm thinking when I'm rolling. Like, it's like almost borderline bullying because I like on the heavyweights, I go a little bit harder. I go a little bit harder.
Yoshi's a bully? No.
But I'm like, I'm talking to them the whole way of like, okay, now I take away your air and I put my shoulder in their mouth. And then I'm like, okay, now since I took away your air, you're not focused on my legs. I got to pass your guard by just putting my shoulder on your mouth. Like I talk them through that whole process of distraction and movement. And it's like, yeah, it's like, it's a little rough on them because I'm like, I want them to be really good, especially at heavyweights. Cause that's what I am. Like, I know what you don't want to be on the, you don't want to be, like I said, you don't want to be looking at the lights against a heavyweight, man. Cause usually if you're looking at the lights, it's probably pretty bad. So it's like, if you're getting smashed, so it's like, I don't want that for them. So I always try to like talk them through and narrate them through it and try to like, so they can see my point of view, especially with like the lower belts.
All right. I'm going to give you, so I've got one more question.
Cool.
But there's two things. When we say goodbye, don't hang up because we're going to come take some pictures by the screen for promo. So we'll let everybody know you're on the show. All right. That's number one. Number two is, before I ask you my last question, go ahead and shout out any of your sponsors, anybody you want to say hello to. This is your time. Take a moment. Go ahead.
Shout out to Showy Roll. They hook it up, always keeping me super fly. So shout out to those guys. Thanks to Sensei Kevin O at USF. I want a big shout out to Mike Morrell and Papa Frank at the Cave Academy. There are two Half Gracie black belts that I train with almost every day at the Cave Academy, and man, those guys have helped me out so much. I love both of you, Mike and Papa Frank. Shout outs, and of course Half Gracie and Tay Crivello, the two teachers, my two instructors at Half Gracie. Wouldn't be here without you two. So big thanks to Master Half and Professor Tay. And
where can your future sponsors and people that don't follow you already, where can they find you?
No, I'm on Instagram, all social medias. You can find me at Yoshi_SF, even Venmo. I'm just playing. All social medias. You can find me at Yoshi_SF. I'm mainly on Instagram, but you can also find me on TikTok, Facebook. YouTube. Just started a YouTube channel. I'm going to start putting out some things on there. If you ever want to train in the Bay Area, not even joking, hit me up on Instagram. Tell me when you're going to come up and we'll plan a training session. I'm always happy to train with other people.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So now, before we let you go, I'm going to ask you the very last question. Now, I consider this probably the most important question that any gi jiu-jitsu practitioner could answer. Do you or do you not wash your belt?
Oh, yes, I do. Not every day, and I haven't washed my black belt yet, but that's still only a couple weeks old. So,
okay.
If it's stinky, it's stinky, man. If it's stinky, you gotta wash that shit. If it's not stinky, you ain't gotta wash that shit.
We've gotten a lot of answers over the years, and we've gotten you're washing your skill away. Legitimately, people have thought that. You're washing the blood of your competitors, the blood and sweat of your competitors, and you want that, you know? And then if you're washing it, you're fading it, and it makes, like, I guess people would fade it to make it look like they trained more, which I had never considered that one. of all the things I've heard, I was like, oh, people actually like, oh, they're trying to fade it.
Oh, they're trying to fade it.
Fade it to make it look like they train more. But I mean, you know, there's no hiding in jiu-jitsu. So
I got a fourth one. You wash away the staff and the ringworm and that big dude that you still smell on your gi after you rode with him 3 rounds.
Yeah, man.
Like, you take all that off.
I'm happy to hear that you're a belt washer. It'll be flashing belt washer on the episode. Or what do we put? It's been a while since we put it up. Oh, we do hashtag Team Wash the Belt versus hashtag Powers in the Belt. That was the other hashtag we used. But Yoshi, listen, man, thank you very much for doing this. Thank you for spending some time with us. Really appreciate it, man. I throw this invite out a lot to a lot of people, and I really mean it, especially with you. If you're ever in Florida, you know, we founded this podcast on, like, it was originally before COVID, like, it was roundtables. It was like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 friends and training partners and maybe a guest. And then COVID happened and it turned into, like, you know, Zooms and, you know, it just changed for us. But if you're ever down, we'd love having people in the studio. If you're ever down this way, let me know you're going to be here. We'll schedule something, have you come in. Miguel will be here. And we'll, you know, it's a different kind of flow when you're close and you're looking at each other, but love to have you if you're ever down this way in South Florida, man. Okay.
Love it, man.
All right. So like I said, don't hang up, but thank you for being here. We appreciate you. All right, brother.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Thank you to Neutral Zone CBD, a combat family-owned company that supports athletes and the people who love them. Neutral Zone strives to deliver clean CBD products for sports recovery in gummies, lotions, balms, roll-ons, and more. After a competition, a hard rolling session, or a tough day on the job, Neutral Zone has a product designed to help you reduce inflammation, increase cell rejuvenation, and may even help with aging joints. Visit NeutralZoneCBD.com and get 25% off your order with code JJD. And follow them on Instagram too, at MyNeutralZone. Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram at TheBJJBox. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
What did I tell you, Bo? Do you love this guy, right? Isn't this guy awesome?
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very
I told
cool.
I
engaging.
I messaged you before I was coming down. I'm like, you're gonna love this guy. He's got a great personality. He's just there's just something about him that people are taking
very
to.
High energy. I mean,
yeah. And you haven't seen any of his videos yet.
The amount of shit he does in a day.
Yeah.
I'm already tired just watching.
Check out his Instagram at Yoshi_SF, and you're gonna go, oh, I get it. There's just, there are lots of people doing move videos and nobody blows up, and gets 10,000 plus followers in just 3 months. It doesn't, it's not.
Well,
normal.
It always happens when somebody's doing something they really like.
Yeah.
It always happens that way. Oh, I did it just for my friends and stuff, and then all of a sudden the world likes it.
Yeah, it's like you just never know what's going to take off. But
hit the right note.
We appreciate you coming on, Yoshi. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're going to let you guys run quick this episode. That was a long one, so thank you everybody for watching and listening. Again, you can check us out at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies for all the ways to watch, listen, and support. Don't forget to click that bell on YouTube, get that reminder.
Share,
comment, subscribe anywhere you're watching or listening. It absolutely helps us out. We could do more of these, have really cool guests on. I'm at Uncle Milty BJJ on Instagram. That's my personal IG. Bo?
I am at BADWERKS, Badworks.
Badworks. All right, everybody. Thank you, Bo. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Peace, love, jiu-jitsu.
Wuss.